How's it going, guys? Awesome Mail here, bigria.com. You got to check this page out because I'm going to go through it with you right now. It says over 100 free ways to find motivated sellers, but it's actually 40 that we're going to go over today because that's how many we have so far. And we keep adding to it every couple days and eventually be 100. But right now, I hadn't seen this page, and I checked it out, and this is like an epic page. Seriously, if you are in real estate, you want to get motivated sellers, you got to go through this because this page has got a bunch of cool stuff. So number one is signs. Of course, it's like our favorite way of doing anything you can build. Every type of company under the sun can be built with signs. You can use signs. Here's a couple. How 4 signs made me over 28 grand. Can a real estate, by the way, if you don't know me, I never talk about myself. This isn't how much money I'm making. This is students, people on our team. This is Anna, Indiana. So how 4 signs made me over 28 grand. There's a video here. You can watch exactly how that's happening. How can a real estate investor make over 7 grand per sign? You'll find out about that. How I made over 92 grand from sending a single email. There's actually one version, I thought it was like 300 some grand from doing that, because that had to do with dealing with, that was with working with new home builders, new construction builders. So check that out, man. A lot of great stuff there. Let me also check this test. Okay, we're good. Yeah, all right. Okay, then the badass signs on class on signs, how to make over 5 grand a week with signs. That's beneath. It's a long video. It's like 90 minutes or something. Check that class out. Might be longer than that. This is in-depth stuff here on this page. You can check that out. I won't get into signs too much. I'll just give you one example of a class that Anna just did right now. How one student in our special needs group, we have the largest group of special needs people who are, we work with them, showing them how to buy and sell companies, how to build companies and buy and sell real estate. We've worked with a lot of different groups, but the whole story about why we work with special needs stuff, it's you can look that up. But one kid went out and made $12,000, made 12 grand. It was 12 grand, right? It was actually good. It might be 16 grand, but at least 12 grand right now. In one weekend, putting out 5 signs. And the way he did it, he put out signs. None of them were for real estate. They were for a restaurant. He was promoting a restaurant, and that restaurant went and said, "Hey, if you guys need to sell your house immediately, give him a call." And then he put together 2 deals in one weekend, and he assigned one, and one was a buyer, a lease option buyer, and he made 12 grand in a weekend, putting out 5 signs. What are you doing this weekend, right? The whole story, by the way, everything I'm talking about is on this page, so definitely want to check it out. Really cool stuff. And this isn't about motivated sellers. I don't even like to use that term, but I know everyone in real estate does, so this whole thing is about like SEO. This page is an epic page. In general, bigria.com has become this like epic, the single best source of how to build a real business, not just make money or fund your next deal. Most iBuyHomes guys are out of business until their next deal. To avoid that from happening to you, you have to put in policies. You have to build your business correctly. And this stuff that these guys are doing on our team is just fucking epic, man. You got to check this out. All right, flyers for specific sellers, renters. There's a lot of places that you can get these done for free, like Canva. So we're talking about like infographics, I guess. Online tutorials like this one, thousands of templates for flyers. Okay, postcards, flyers, stuff like that. Postcard Mania. And one thing that you can do with Postcard Mania, once you have your contact there, any of these postcard places, Postcard Mania is one that a lot of people use, is ask them what criteria you should use, because they know what people are spending money on, and then you know what investors are paying for. Not that they're doing a great job handling the people, by the way, but you know what they're paying for. Since you rarely compete with realtor or lender, you can partner. Oh, by the way, all these things are free. You can do everything on here for free. Even signs. You may think, well, it's the cost of the signs. No, you can even get that done for free. And we talk about all that stuff in different places. But this is all free ways to get the phone ringing, to find good quality deals. Remember, when people say you need to spend money to go out there, I see so many people spending hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars on Facebook ads and stuff like that. Eventually, you should do that stuff. At first, you shouldn't. You should be able to. Your skills should be such that you can use freely available deals or leads to create deals and transactions. Does that make sense? Freely available. All right, that's very important. Freely available. You want to be able to use freely available leads to build your business. Every business should be at the 10 to 30 grand a month. Go through our Empire IQ about do I have the IQ to build a business, a real business. You should build your business. In order to get your first iteration of 10 to 30 grand a month, there's not a free market in the world where there's not enough leads and enough opportunity just with the freely available leads and the freely available consumers for you to go out and be able to make 10 to 30 grand a month. So if you're making less than 30 grand a month, you don't need to spend any money putting together deals. No money. And by the way, on the deals, the earnest money, all that stuff, no money on that stuff either. So if you think you do, you need to go through our other stuff on all that stuff as well. Okay, so so she's not using, in this case, I think she's using mail. So you work out with the realtors and you say, look, I'm going to get the right selects for the list, and then you'll pay for the mailing. I'll do the deals with sellers that you don't know how to work with, and then I'll whatever leftover business is that you can do that. And that's one way to make money with these realtors. How one flyer made me $6 to $7 grand a month on Airbnb. You can watch the class here, although that's not a link, I don't think. So where's the class? Okay, the flyer. Oh, okay. So here's the flyer below. You can go download the flyer. I'll put your house or a room on Airbnb and we'll split the profits. Is this still number 2? Okay, it's still number 2. All right, so we're only on number 2. I'll put your house on Airbnb or a room. I'll put your house or a room on Airbnb and we'll split the profits. We've been doing this for a while. Where you can get. This is how you can get houses. This, Airbnb. If you once you get the algorithm down, Anna did a class on that. Here's the class. That's why the link didn't work. You can watch this class. Basically, this is there's so much opportunity. So a lot of times the seller's trying to sell their house and it's not selling. In between the time that it's not selling, this is a great thing to do, where you can put a room of theirs on Airbnb. The reason people can do it themselves too, by the way, but the number one thing is that you get good reviews, meaning you pretty much need almost professional grade maid service, and that's one of the things you're helping the sellers. Also, the SEO within Airbnb and all these short-term rental places, you want to get good at that. Anna explains, exactly how she was putting these deals together. Although she didn't keep doing that, we have other students that have done it and have done very well with it. The best thing we're doing with this, I don't know if she talks about it here. But when we go to like our groups, like our special needs groups and other like volunteer groups that you're working with, you can go to a group. Let's say you go to your whatever group you want to volunteer for. First of all, you should be volunteering every week as Big RIA or WBE, whatever. You should be volunteering. Also, the hat. I need to mention the hat. These hats we're going to be selling. I'll talk about that. I keep jumping around. Okay, these hats are for sale, and all the money is going to go to our special needs group. I keep forgetting to mention it, but that's why I keep wearing them when I'm doing these videos and stuff. You go to like a group. Let's say it's a volunteer group, and let's say you have 100 volunteers there. What you can go to these people and say, listen, why don't you guys, instead of giving money, if you have a room or a house or anything that we can put on Airbnb, let us know, and you can immediately get 20 or 30 rooms or houses that you can start putting on Airbnb, make money, you get a percentage, then you give the group a percentage, and you can give the people a percentage as well. But it's a quick way for that group to make money and people to donate. They get a write-off out of that, by the way, if they don't take the money, or even if they do. But this is a quick way to get a whole bunch of inventory, have a whole bunch of houses that you don't own, you have no liability, and you could turn them into cash immediately. So I don't recommend, at least we've had students who are making good money with the Airbnb model, but it's not hands-off. You got to do, the cleaning is like extensive. I mean, it's got to be, people aren't going to treat your house like a hotel, but they want it to look like better than a hotel. You know what I mean? Like, so you've got to be, it's got to, the way that most people live is not the way that they think that they live, right? So you got to have somebody going out there every day if they're doing that. And also, reviews, it's another thing to keep in mind is that, let's say somebody rents a room. All the rooms in that house have to be pretty good, right? Because even if they don't go to those rooms, the reviews are really important, and you want to make sure that people get a good experience out of what you're doing. Okay, placing ads. Start with free online ads. See our post on 101 free places to advertise. We have a long class on that. You can check that out. And then how to write ads that sell, you can check that out as well. Placing ads. Ads right now is free. And since there's so many sites and so easy to get traffic and eyeballs, it really comes down to your copywriting and the way that you write the ads, the headlines, the emotion that you use. If you're good at that, this will be easy to do. 4, door knocking. Most people hate this. Most people are broke. Not coincidence. That's not a coincidence. See, did I write this? Might be copied and pasted from this. If you learn to cold call and door knock well, you'll never run out of opportunities. I think I did write this. This is there's copying and pasting my stuff. That being said, this is a good foundation skill to build upon. There are a lot of ways to do this to build a serious business around just door knocking. For example, if you work with a charity or an NPO group, you can have them go out in vans and cover an entire area at once. I didn't write this part here, the hundreds of houses in a single day, but this is really cool because this is something we're doing right now. I didn't know they gave it away on this page, but if you close just 1% of 300 houses, for example, and the average house, you're making 10 grand a month or 10 grand per deal, that's an easy $15,000 a week. Now, if you split that, and that's if you split the money with the group, right? Because if you're doing 1% of 300 houses, that's 3 deals at 10 grand, $30,000. If you give them half, you're making 15 grand a week. Let me explain how this works. Like in a lot of the work we do, it's with special needs, like I said, but it could be any group. So we've worked with, rehabilitation groups, addiction centers. Anytime you have anything you volunteer for, right? What these people can do is to go out in vans, like let's say you take 2 or 3 vans out and you've got, maybe 5, 10, 15 people, and they just cover an entire neighborhood, right? They hand out flyers, about the I Buy Homes, or, that a partner of theirs is buying homes. If they want a cash offer on a house, they really need to sell their house. What about vampire vacancies in the neighborhood that are dragging down the value of other houses? And you can hit more with a group of people like that in one day than you'll ever hit in 1 month or 6 months by yourself. And these people can go out for a few hours at a time and just cover an entire section of a city. And if you're doing 1% of those deals, 1% of those houses, which you should be a few times better than that, but even if you're only doing 1% and you do 300 houses, which you can easily do in a week or in one weekend, you're looking at 20, 30 grand gross. So this is a quick way to make an extra 5 or 10 grand a week just by knocking on doors and working with the volunteer group and helping them as well. Because what else are these people doing, And it's great when the volunteer group can say that we're now buying and selling houses. They can go to their own volunteers or groups. All this stuff that we do is not just about making money, but also making the world better, improving the world. And it's like constantly what we talk about. Car signs. More people would do this if they knew how profitable it is. I have 2 friends that have bought and paid off Hummers because the calls they have generated for me. So this is Anna's been doing this a lot, actually, where you go and you get your car made up, and it's like, Anna buys houses, Anna will make a cash offer on your house, and you just drive around the city and you find out how many calls you need. Let's say the average call, well, I guess she does the math here. You have a few options. You can get a magnetic car sign. So check out these links here. Go to this page, man. This is a great page. You want a headline with teeth. I'll make an offer 10% more than what your house is worth. Anna will buy your home for cash today. Anna buys houses cash. Anna buys homes cash. I pay cash for homes. You need a headline with teeth. How much does an Escalade cost? It's about $1,000. That's how much those Hummers are, the brand new ones. About $1,000 a month. Whether you lease it or buy it, it's about the same. The cost anywhere from $50,000 to $90,000. She put 70. Okay, so $50,000 to $70,000. Just one deal can pay for that car for years. Think about that. If your payment's only $1,000 a month, you can pay it for a few times. One deal, if you're making 20, 30 grand a month, you can pay for that for years. A few will pay that off entirely. So you only need a few calls a month to be able to pay for that fancy car. This is the important part. This is why aren't more people doing this? I've been talking about it for years. People still don't get it. We have a few high schools in our special needs program that are doing this right now. It's easy to understand. You basically turn your car into a mobile billboard. The more attention, the more calls. The more calls, the more deals, the more money you make. Imagine driving around in a brand new fancy car while getting paid to drive it around. So if you're doing, let's say you need 30 calls, 50 calls. If you need 40 calls to do a deal, that's 10 calls a week to do one deal a month. But we're not talking about that. Remember, if you do one deal a year, that'll pay for that $12,000 payment that you're paying on a car. One deal a year. So you don't need 40 calls a month. You need 40 calls over the year. You get what I'm saying? So when we hash it down, you can get 1 to 3 calls a week and double the money that you're paying for a car like that. Easily double, triple the money that you're paying on that car. You get what I'm saying? So you can go out and buy an Escalade. I'm not recommending you do this until you have the numbers and until you know you're going to at least call people back and all that stuff. A lot of investors don't even do that. But you can go, oh man, it's just awesome. You can go out there and put these deals together and make money driving your car around. Okay, bumper stickers. These are smaller and easier than the previous one, and they don't work as well. But you can do a lot more, so they kind of can work better. But you get custom bumper stickers made for cheap. Make them yourself. You can get you want to get car decals. They need a message, a way to respond, usually a phone number. The best way I've learned to do this is to work with a group or organization, so the bumper sticker can say Cook County Special Olympics buys and sells houses, or just the standard Anna will buy cash for your home. You will tell the group ahead of time that the plan is to get as many calls as possible to this one voicemail. Okay, that part I know. Then you split the money made from the deals. Okay, so hundreds of bumper stickers. The calls keep coming for years. That has happened. We've had calls coming in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years later, still getting calls from bumper stickers. So this is no one does this either. Go to, like, let's say you do a car wash and you say the car wash is free, or you can donate money for the car wash, but you get a discount if you can put this bumper sticker on the back of your car that our organization buys and sells houses. No human being in the history of bumper stickers has ever taken one off. They're not going to take it off. They might paint over it, although that doesn't happen. And bumper stickers, some people think is cheap or tacky. Who cares? There's some previous students who've made over $5,000 a week from doing bumper stickers this way. That's true. Start small. Once you convert deals, you can expand. You can avoid putting anything out of pocket as long as you focus on the order of operations I outlined. Make sure your dialogue and compliance is on point so you don't waste calls in business. So I don't know if she's actually doing this or she put how much money she was making. So okay, I don't know what she's doing or what anyone on our team. I don't have any numbers for it right now, but people have made a lot of good money on this. Once you know how many calls you need to do a deal, you know how much each call is worth, and then it just becomes a game of, you know, how much do you want to spend to get these calls. And when you work with a group or something, you're not spending any money out of pocket. It just takes time. And what else are they doing? You know, wouldn't it be great if all these people could go out and have bumper stickers? Because they're supporting that every time they drive somewhere, they're supporting their group, their cause that they care about. This is why when you work with like volunteer groups, you want to go somewhere. The number one asset you have is your emotion, right? You want to channel it and focus it on groups that you care about. And then when you get there, you're going to be around people who care about the same things you care about as well. And it becomes a lot of fun. Flyers door to door. We have kids do this for extra cash. One teenager made over $6,000 or $600 his first week. This is more than most real estate investors make their first year. That's true. Here's what to do. First, get in touch with a realtor or multiple realtors who have active, pending, or recently sold listings in a neighborhood that you want to buy in. This is good stuff, man. Second, put out flyers to all the surrounding houses about the activity and successes the realtor is having with their neighbors. Something like 132 Main Street, just down the street from you, just got 7 showings and 2 offers, for example. You're getting seller leads. You can include, give me a call in 5 minutes. I can tell you exactly how much cash I can offer you or how much cash I can get you for your home today. There are 2 kinds of sellers that reply to this. Those that will list with an agent and those that won't. Since you aren't really competing with the agent, they can get all the retail listings and you can get all the motivated seller leads. A win-win. This is how you partner with an agent. Again, so many investors and agents get along like cats and dogs because they don't ever talk to them and say, listen, we're doing the same marketing in the same areas. How about this? Why don't we market together? You get the leads that I don't want, the retail seller leads, and I get the leads you don't want, that don't have the time or effort, energy, resources, will, whatever, to fix up the house and make it, you know, a pretty house. I want those leads. The worse they are, the better. Because realtors and investors should work together like hand in glove, but it's never the way it works. A win-win. Plus, aside from the money that you make with the sellers, you work with the realtor, he'll be paying you for the marketing as well. This is a form of sweat equity where you don't pay for the flyers or anything. It's just your effort and time. This is great for youngsters too. They can do flyers and get paid for generating business for investors. This works well for buyers. You can also market the houses. You can attract a lot of attention. So this is a great thing that we do sometimes. Just pick a house, any realtor's house or any listed house. And if you're a realtor, if you want business of any kind, market the hell out of that house. Do an auction. Drop the price way down and do an auction, like a round robin auction. And you get so much traffic, so much attention to that open house that's only going to be for like a half hour, that other sellers will come out of the woodwork. They'll come and want to talk to you about what you're doing. And one of the quickest ways to get business and get people talking about you and to get really quality leads is to show what you can do first. Just do a massive open house. Custom clothing. Again, you don't just want a company name and logo here, which is what everybody has. They'll have a picture of their face, like insurance agents, and it'll just be like State Farm and a guy's name. You know, don't do that. Now you want a headline like we've discussed before, something with teeth, right? This is the best, like all these like Super Bowl companies, because this is like, now that I'm working with people that are like not business related or like not like a lot of our like special needs, like teachers and stuff like that. Even Anna, like when she's so new that when she explains things to me, I think, wow, I never even thought about that. She's like, all this headlines and stuff, I never thought any of that stuff worked. I thought it was like infomercial, scammy stuff, like cheesy. And that's how a lot of people look at like a headline, like a headline that says, I'll put your house on Airbnb or a room on Airbnb, sending that out. Nobody would believe that she's making 5, 10, 15 grand a month, not just for herself, but for a special needs group. Like that's how profitable that is. This one ugly little flyer can put you in the 1% easily. But people don't believe that. They don't think that. They think that what they see like at Super Bowl commercials, like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, they think that's what it takes. That's how those companies made billions of dollars. That's never the case. That's never how the company got there. That's because these people in charge now are people who are the Ivy League types who've never had to actually go out and earn something. They've never had to produce. They're the ones in charge. Ask yourself this. Take any Super Bowl ad. Just look up best Super Bowl ads of whatever year and ask yourself, if that company went door to door to their top people and said what that commercial said, how many transactions would they have? 0, right? The only ones that matter are the ones where there would be a transaction, because they're not even mentioning they're just mentioning the company name, you know what I mean? So this is the idea of branding and this multi-billion-dollar scam industry of branding, these huge companies. That stuff is, you don't have the resources or the time and the money for that right now. You have to have stuff that works, that's accountable. Every single thing you do has to have an immediate ROI. There's a great quote. I think it was, I don't know exactly what he was And when Iacocca had the bailout, and he was when they were doing the reshuffling, and they had Congress and everyone, the media and the government, everyone breathing down their neck. Lee Iacocca used to call every executive in that had these fancy resumes. They thought he was going to call in the random workers, and he said, no, I need to call in the top people. He'd call them in, he'd give them a marker and give them a whiteboard and say, I want you to explain how whatever it is that you do here sold us a car today. And if you can't explain it very simply and easily, then you lose your job. And he got rid of almost the entire staff doing that. And that's the story of how he used, of what he, that's not entirely true, but that's like a good story. But in reality, his goal was to make sure that people had a simple, direct way of explaining how what they did made money. The guy on the line, the low income, or the guys that weren't making as much money, everyone thought that's who he would go after first. He said, those guys, it's obvious. They're making the car. We can tell, exactly what the return is on that. And that's exactly, he could point to anybody on that assembly line and say, that's how much ROI that guy has. Here's how much we're paying him, and here's how much he's making us. And as soon as he went higher up that income ladder, it was much harder for him to tell. In general, I'm telling you, if you guys want to start buying companies and you want to start getting, putting together agreements, whether it's a marketing agreement or a transaction agreement, and you want to get 6-7 figures a year, it's very simple. It's not about, don't go in there thinking, oh my God, are they going to pay me, $500,000 when nobody there makes that? When they're going to pay me, $50,000 a month, are they going to do that? That's not what matters. What matters, the problem you have is that you have that employee mentality, which I used to have, and Anna used to have. All you're thinking about is, based on my education, how much should someone pay me every year, right? How much should someone pay me per hour? But when you move from the left hand to the right hand side, you're no longer a liability, but you're an asset. Then the only thing that matters is your ROI. How much does it cost, right? And that's what you want to be. Okay, anyway, the whole point I was talking about was a slogan. So a lot of people do this custom clothing, and it sucks. It's not very good. You got to have a hook. I've talked about this before. If you're working with a charity, one way is to get people proud of wearing your swag. That's the thing. Your mission statement, your hook, should be something that people are proud to wear of. I built a robot that buys and sells houses when you're asleep. We're building the world's first 3D printed planet. We're I've covered a few of these different places. Some of the other ones we're looking at a world where there's no wheelchairs, no more for anybody, no more blindness ever. A world where we're building a world where we have the first human being with a 250-year life expectancy, or the average human being with a 250-year life expectancy. Those are examples from companies that we're working with overseas. We have the largest. A lot of the human genome sequencing and stuff like that. This is like, when you start using terms like that, you lose people. But when you say a world where the average human life expectancy is 250 years, that's something people wear on their sweatshirts, right? Okay, so Anna buys homes cash. That's a little bit better. It's something that one can easily brag about. When they see that Anna's a great friend of the group, she splits money with the group. They can start saying the group buys, special needs, the Special Olympics will buy your house, or we're buying houses now cash. Something that you get an ROI on. You can say like how many calls you're getting on this. When you have a good mission, people want to be a part of it. Make the hook so good that people want it on their bodies. You can look at other examples. The handicap adjustments, the DNA embryo research, you'll find great hooks. Curing all special needs, no more wheelchairs for anybody. A world where an average, like I said, the #1 channel on YouTube for Indiana real estate. I wonder who that is. To make lifelong friends, showing folks around the world how to create generational wealth with Indiana real estate. That's kind of her mission. She says that every time we have a video, every time we talk about anything like that. And it's an important thing. All this stuff that we're talking about motivated sellers, this isn't about finding people who are desperate and taking advantage of them. It's about building lifelong friends. That should be your mission. And you're doing all this stuff to help people who, these are your friends that you haven't met yet, right? And the way that most investors are going to approach them is not going to be very good. Okay, number 9. And the selling this stuff, the Zazzle stuff, this hat's going to be for sale. We have the Smile hats, and we have other special needs hats. You want to check them out because where the money's going to is pretty cool. 9, decals on your computer, laptop, or phone. This is an interesting one that I wouldn't have thought was as profitable as it can be. Decals on your computer. So you can get decals or skins at a lot of places. Okay, there's links you can go buy stuff. Should you do this? You guys probably won't. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was trained by Millie. She told me something pretty amazing on her Apple. Okay, I remember this. So on her Apple, she had a custom decal for buying houses. In the last 6 years, she's done 12 deals for people asking her about it. So like at Starbucks and stuff like that. That's 2 deals. That's at least $1,500 to $2,000 a month for over a decade. It said the last 6 years. Oh, for over half a decade. All right. She spends a lot of time at Starbucks though. So you never know who you're going to run into. That's true. Just put on your clothes. You never know who you're going to see. You never know who you're going to run to. So you can you can get that stuff going. 10, business cards. You don't want these to look or be like normal business cards. Start with the bigger, normal, oversized cards, ones that fold. There's a lot of examples of really cool ones. You don't need to do all that stuff. If nothing else, just write stuff down. As soon as you can afford it, when you talk to like plumbers or other service people, give them a laminated version of your card or a flyer, and they can start leaving that at places that they go to. And on the back, you include something important or useful, like, here are all the emergency numbers, like 24-hour vets, 24-hour child. That's the CDC number, and that way people can put on their fridge. And it's got all these like emergency contact numbers for that area. On the other side, it's laminated. Nobody ever throws away anything laminated. It's like why no one ever throws away magnets. Take the magnets off your fridge. I've been saying this for years. Hold them over the fridge and try to let go. You won't be able to do it. Nobody throws away magnets or anything laminated. So it'll stay in these houses for years, and you can still get an ROI on that, on those calls. Leaving comments on high traffic posts, blogs, videos. The anatomy of a badass and epic comment. Okay, we've been doing some really cool experiments on this, actually. I don't know how much he's going to get into, but if you want to work with a company and start getting paid like transaction agreements and stuff, 2, 3, 4, 5 grand a month, this is actually, I don't know, I don't think we had as many details. I don't know when she wrote this, but there's some really cool stuff here on how to do this, because a lot of people need backlinks and they need traffic from these sources. So we have we have policies on how to make a badass and epic comment. Basically, let's say you have an ice cream shop, or let's say you have a whatever type of business that you're working with. Like we do this a lot with dermatologists now. So where are the places where people have skin problems, where people are describing skin problems, where people aren't sure what they are, people are trying to look it up, people are awake all night, people are bleeding, they're kids or newborns or infants, they're scared it's gonna is it genetic, is it going to be inherited, and all these other questions they have around like skin disorders, and what's the best treatments, and are these all these like questions you can have. So how do we create people on our staff for the dermatology group we're working with that go and start to build this clout in that industry? And you can do it really quickly in a matter of days, hours, days, weeks at most. And you can start building this following within these groups, and it can help you drive traffic and also gain compliance from the people. And you become like, pick the 3 to 5 biggest places where your ideal target customers are meeting, like forums or places on the internet, maybe Facebook groups. And then how do we become authorities within there, starting from zero? And this, we've been doing some really, really amazing tests on this. And this is the only place I know of where we go over this stuff. I don't know how much she's going to cover here, but this is what we do. And we call it epic comments or badass comments. Like, how do we do this? So this is an example. Number one, the first thing you do is you give the poster or somebody there, give them a genuine compliment. So go look up their profile, go look them up on social media, whatever, find something you like about them. So don't be that, don't be a dickhead. And in general, don't be a cunt in general. Don't be out there spreading negativity and being nasty. Is Facebook even a positive for humanity? It's like, I understand why people say that. Why people, of course, we're in the best time ever. Everything is beautiful and great. It's all how you use it. But I do see why people wonder if the internet or social media, because a lot of people are dragging people down. Always just consider, there's nothing that says more about you, or just about nothing that says more about you than the way you make people feel when they're done talking to you or interacting with you, right? So just keep that in mind, and you should be good, and you won't get dragged down by people either. Okay. So give the poster or somebody a genuine compliment. 2, agree or disagree with the stated position, but in a friendly way. Provide a ton of evidence and helpful resources, then ask to be corrected if you miss something. This is one of the most important things to do. If you don't want people, the biggest thing people say, business owners, everyone, we don't want commenters, talking smack or bad reviews or whatever. The best way to make sure that people talk shit about you is to not be there. Once you're there, voila, they stop. Everything stops. Really, as soon as you get there. And the only time, we okay? We good? Okay. So that stops once people know that you're stopped there. I guess we'll have to stop for a second. Do we have to stop? We good? Okay. What happens with people? I'll make a note of that. Okay. What happens? What happens? The reason why people get nasty, the reason why people get scared of this stuff. They get scared of having negative comments or stuff like that. It's because you're not there. Once you're there, it just disappears, and you're able. Once you show up there, everything is better. But the other thing is that when you have people who are nasty, you can always bring them around. And the way to engage with somebody who's nasty is, first of all, you don't want to withdraw completely, but withdraw in such a way where they always look bad. And that's a whole nother thing we're not going to cover here, I don't think. But there's a whole way of dealing with trolls and people online. The exact language and verbiage we use when we do get that kind of nasty stuff. And we always win. When you know what to do, when you have the right algorithm, you'll always win. It's always a formula. It always wins. This is how you start to build huge compliance anywhere. Provide a ton of evidence. So basically you want to have links, you want to have videos, you want to have examples, other places. How did you get this information? Make it long, like a mini book, because people on these forums who are dedicated and have emotion invested into these topics, into this whatever this thing that is that you're talking about, they'll read the whole thing. And you know what will happen? They'll start appreciating you. They'll start following you. You'll start building authority. And so somebody you hire to do this is just as important as a salesperson you have, if not more important. Offer to help and ask for feedback. You know, offer to help somebody. And also one of the best ways to avoid anything nasty is start making fun of yourself. You know, put yourself down. Self-deprecation works well. So if you screw something up, constantly refer to it so that nobody else refers to it. 4, offer to help and ask for your feedback. I'm covering those things, negative feedback, and what if I screw up? Because those are the 2 biggest reasons why people don't engage on social media or don't engage in comments or don't engage in becoming an authority on authority sites. They just don't even go there, and it's to their detriment. And by the way, I'm talking about you personally, if you set this up the way that we show you and the way that I'm talking about, where you become the middleman, these companies basically have to keep paying you because you're the one in control of these sites, of these, you're the one who puts this little formula, this little algorithm that creates this masterpiece. So they're just paying you every month for work that's already been done. One way that we're doing this right now is we have companies that are paying, let's say, a flat monthly, you know, let's say $5,000 a month, and for that $5,000 a month, we're determining how many clicks, how many, you know, email opt-ins do you need, how many calls do you need, and then we test that. We have them pay just the bare minimum to get that going, and we test how many comments, how much do we need to get going in order to match that number. Does that make sense? I shouldn't be talking. This has nothing to do with. Actually, this does have a lot to do with motivated sellers, because you can find motivated sellers doing this. But this is like a really cool thing, because what happens, like in the dermatology case, you have authority on these like 5 or 10 different sites that are like considered authorities on dermatology, and now I keep hearing that clicking. It's just like the phone. I used to do that on the phone. You have over the week, it's just like over the days and the weeks and the months, as time goes by, you get more and more authority. You have more and more leads. So the power that you have with the companies that you're sending business to grows. It has more and more. And if there's a problem with that company, it's not a problem. You can switch them out and find another. And imagine if you had been think of a dermatologist, for example, or a computer salesperson or whatever. Imagine if for the last year you had been making comments like this on the most highly rated, you know, the top 3 to 5 authority sites that they have in that market. Imagine what that would do to your clout and that your authority within those people. And when I say your authority, you're just a commenter, you're just a regular person. Okay, so offer to help, ask for feedback, compliment them again, and say thank you. So consider your target in this case a motivated seller. Ask yourself, what are they searching for online? Where would they end up? What articles would they be reading? What videos would they be watching? What podcast audios? What would they be listening to? What are they reading, listening to, or watching? And then go local. This is something we've been doing. One of the things that we're testing now on YouTube is find these local videos that are exactly what you want and start replying to them. Start first making a comment and then start making a video reply, and tracking the backlinks on that. It's been really successful. So it's basically taking what I just said, only doing it with an individual video. Anybody who searches or anything or visits just about any local business or resource will come across your epic comments. So anytime, like let's say it's a local divorce attorney, somebody looks up, how do I file for divorce in my state or whatever, find out whatever the top terms are. And you can do this proactively. Find out what's coming up right now and then just go and be everywhere, right? And then once you do that, you become an authority yourself just because you've got all these things linking back to you, all these sites linking back to you. It's really an easy thing to do. Marriage counselors, credit repair people, realtors, foreclosure help videos, Reddit comments, local online newspaper columns, every single realtor, your local newspaper column, for your local real estate column, every week there should be a comment there from you. Single local real estate agent, investors who pay per click, Yahoo Answers, Quora, a bunch of different places. What did I say? Who advertise on pay per click? I see. Type in any real estate investor or anything, any industry, and in your market, find out who's paying for the traffic right now, and start becoming friends with them. Leave comments on their stuff, and start to follow them and start to really build a relationship with them, not just them, but their people as well. Because the first thing that happens, what do we do when we go somewhere? We look at the reviews, we look at comments often, and that's you can be there. You can be the first one there. Do a quick search on Google and make sure that every site that's advertising for your target keywords, that you're there. They'll usually have blogs. Make sure that in the comments there's one epic and a helpful comment that you leave. Just follow that formula. Here's a part of an exact comment that I left, It's a good model to use. I got 4 deals from this in the past 90 days. Yes, okay, so she is talking about this. This is what we've been doing now. And maybe what I said wasn't clear earlier, but because it's like, man, I don't know if I should get into that too much. But basically, we've been using these trackers for these links so we can track how much each comment is, how much we're making per comment, how many leads we're getting per comment. So we can say something like this: this one comment made me $7,000 last month, right? This one comment, right? I'm getting money from these comments, and we can tell how much each comment is worth. It's pretty, but these are not normal comments. I mean, we're going way in depth. So here's an example. Give the poster somebody a genuine compliment. She said, "Thanks so much for posting this. It's very helpful, and I'm sure homeowners in trouble will get a lot out of this. Agree or disagree with the stated position, but in a friendly way. I totally agree with you that too many homeowners put their head in the sand and get frozen out of fear. They make the situation worse by delaying and not taking action, or by delaying taking action. I do, however, respectfully disagree that finding help is as easy as making a phone call to a real estate professional. Because this is what most realtors, mortgage people, etc., real estate professionals are either unaware of or unwilling to learn about solutions for homeowners in trouble." So she's basically, disqualifying, this is all true. Disqualifying. So imagine you're a seller and you're reading this, right? You're thinking, that's exactly right. They don't know what to do. I did call a realtor. He had no idea what to do. Or he told me something, gave me bad advice. Provide a ton of evidence and helpful resources, then ask to be corrected if you're missing something. This is how you build a following and never get booted or labeled as spam. A recent article here described how many realtors are unaware of any way to help a seller who doesn't have equity to list their property. Also last year, according to this report, over half of the sellers who lost their homes in foreclosure did reach out to a realtor or their bank, and they just didn't get any help. Also, here's a story of a suicide caused by financial pain that could have been avoided if they had just gotten the right help. It makes me sad. So she includes more. It makes me sad. I've seen these stories again and again, and it's why I'm dedicated. And when I started my business, I included that my mission would be to make lifelong friends. So now she's right. She's coming around to it. And then offer to help. I say this because while I buy and sell houses and try to help folks in these kinds of situations, I see too many people that get to me too late or not at all. Sometimes they were intimidated or embarrassed to reach out for help, or many times they just never knew that help was there. That's why I wrote a book and created an audiobook so any homeowners in trouble can get educated on their options for free and without hassle or worry of a salesperson or banker bothering them, aka or ask for feedback. So now then this is the part where she asks for feedback. As a fellow professional in this field, I'd love your feedback and to hear your thoughts on this. That goes for anybody else. My goal is to help troubled homeowners, so please let me know if you think I'm doing that or what you suggest I do to improve. I welcome and love your input. This is how you go somewhere and you pitch your stuff, basically, and you do it in a way where they're going to help you pitch it. Like, well, what do you recommend? I love your input on this. And if they do get nasty, you just repeat this statement of intent. I just want to get your feedback. All this is true, by the way, but it's the way, the dialogue, it's like the phrasing of it, right? So compliment them again and say thank you. Again, thank you for posting this and offering to help folks. Remember, start and end with a thank you and a compliment, the compliment sandwich. I read your story, and I'm sure your dad is building boats upstairs while looking proudly down on you. Thanks again, Mike. So this guy's father apparently passed away. Or maybe he's like literally just upstairs looking down. I think he passed away. Shouldn't joke about that. Mike, we hope your dad's okay. And did I laugh at the suicide thing? Is that why you looked at me? Oh, no, it's because that's like all of a sudden out of nowhere. It's like, plus there's a suicide, like this bad news stuff. And that's true. Like there's a lot of risk. Like you're basically saying, if people don't call me, this is what happens. And sometimes it's suicide, which the number one reason for suicide is financial problems, by the way. It's why I talk about a lot of people, especially now that we're dealing with like teachers and educators, and like people think it's like, oh, is it really reasonable to say that special needs kids can go out and buy and sell companies and they can't even tie their shoes, which is actually a comment that I've heard. And I always have the same thing. What do you recommend? What do you suggest? They just sit there, accept defeat? It's not just special needs people, but people in general. Most people end up broke. So I agree that most people that try to get in real estate end up failing. Most people that try to get in network marketing end up failing. Most people that try everything fail. What's the solution? Nothing. Just sit there. You got to do something, man. 12, create infographic magnets. Okay, so that's an example of an epic comment that will get read, stay visible, get engagement, help people, and drive you traffic. So this comment here, how much money did she make off this comment? This one, the comment's good, right? And you guys see how the formula. Don't ever be concerned with what you see. Look at what built what you see. Go through the class on self-similarity, the science class. That's the most important thing. Everything has an algorithm. Everything in nature, all beauty, it has a simple algorithm. Once you understand the algorithm, you can create even the most complex masterpiece because everything has a very basic algorithm. I got 4 deals in the past 90 days. How much money did you make doing it? Okay, so let's say I'd say at least 20 grand in 90 days. So 20, 30 grand in 90 days. If it's 30 grand in 90 days, that's 10 grand a month. 10 grand a month. One comment, man. One comment, 10 grand a month. Badass stuff, man. All right, create infographic magnets. On top of this, leaving comments to get traffic, you can also turn popular viral content on the internet into lead magnets for you and your business website. There's also a post I made on how to make how to make $500 a day by making infographics here. That was a class. That was a video. It's done yet? God, you guys, I'm so good to you. We're so good to you. Big Ria, you guys gotta love this. All this stuff is free. BigRia.com. You guys, I'm fucking spoiling you guys. I love you. I love you. That's why I'm doing it, because I love you. We all love you. We love you guys. First, find a popular article. Second, summarize the article in an infographic. Lastly, share a page with a link. Okay, now I know this. So basically, go to places like LifeWire, Engadget, Mashable, any site that's like a high site, or you can go to YouTube's trending page or trending videos. Here's a real-time example. In searching for this topic of driving traffic, getting businesses, leaving comments, I came across this helpful article about Reddit comments on startupbros.com by Will and Travis Lavelle. Here's a summary of that infographic I had one of the kids make. We do this a lot, where we'll get information and we'll give it to one of these kids and say, okay, go make an infographic. And I've explained where to make them. You can make them for free. And then we take this infographic and we put it up and we get traffic with it. This is really another cool thing. Like I told you about these, where going out making comments and posting in authority places, and then you become an authority, and then you can sell that authority, basically rent it out to a certain company. It's the same thing with infographics. One of the most important things to ever get is backlinks. That's the first thing that tells your site that it's worth something. So I don't know if we actually got a backlink from them, but hopefully that if we haven't, they should do it, because we took what he said in this article, put it in an infographic, and then go back and reach out to him and say, hey, I really like what you said. I put in an infographic on my article here. If you could check it out, let me know what you think. Did I get everything? Did I miss anything? I'd love to hear from you. And then if you leave that in a comment, just like in one of those epic comments, now you have a link coming from that site. And also you're building a relationship with this person, because everyone's flattered that you took the time to put what they said and took it so seriously that you put it into an infographic. By the way, always give them credit. It's here in the headline that this is from them. This is their website. This is not your stuff. And then we put a link so you can go read the full article that they had. Okay, how to make an extra $500 a day making infographics. The video's right here. You guys can check it out. 13, email signatures, 35K. I made $35,000 a year from this. About 6% of investors I screened. Yes, I remember we were doing some market research on this, because I wonder how many people still use or ever used email signatures and tracked how much money they can make with them. This is something everyone should start doing. About 6% of investors I screened said that they have ever done this. Everybody's heard of it. When you get an email, sometimes at the bottom, somebody will have a message. They'll say, like, I love referrals, cash for homes, for all your real estate needs, some cheesy stuff. Again, no. Everything you say from now on, all your headlines have to have teeth. These are better than nothing, but still not as good as it should be. Better example, Anna will buy your home today for a fair price and close on a date you choose. Even that isn't as good as it should be. Remember, think of your signature as a headline of an ad. You want to get quality clicks. You should say stuff like, Anna will buy your house for cash today. Get my free book, 5 Ways to Sell Your House by Friday, by going here. Anna buys houses. Get an offer on your house in the next 3 hours. Just go to my site here. I lost my job, was behind on payments and facing foreclosure. Anna was a godsend. Get Jose's whole story here. And how I can help here. Get Jose's whole story and how I can help here. So those are examples of the footer, or she didn't even know what copywriting was, and now look where she's at. It's great stuff. What to include? Actually, I think some of those are copied, but still, to at least pick out what you should be saying. You should personalize it by using your name. Also, you want to have a carrot to give away, something specific that you will give them as a freebie, and then you can also use a testimonial. A good headline can be just a testimonial. My experiment, I started using signatures in 2 emails. One was an accident. I was emailing some of the parents on my son's soccer team, and in group email, I accidentally included my signature. One of the parents called me immediately, and they needed serious help. They were in foreclosure, and I was able to get them out of it. I didn't make any money, but I kept the signature. I figured if I can help one person like that, even if I didn't make money, it would be worth it. Over the next 60 days, I did 4 deals. Well, that's good. Some were with parents, but others were from people I didn't know, meaning they passed my message on to friends who may have needed help. That's good. I wonder how many opt-ins we got. Do we know? The second part was a video. Okay, this is another thing. Do the custom video. No one does this. After the call, always send everyone a custom video. Nobody does it. You got to just constantly build your nobody mountain, right? Ask yourself, is this something a reasonable person would do, whatever I did? And the answer is usually yes, which means that you want to go higher than that. You want to do more than that. Most people aren't going to do that stuff. The custom video was done, well, just this week I got 2 code violation properties that were off market. I'll take a lesson from Ozem and not even include the money I'm making from these deals. No, you should. I will say this though, the email signature is just from this group alone have more than doubled my income from my job. What about the money from the previous deals? The total profit on those deals was over 35 grand. You can track this by using a special link or an affiliate link. You can track everything you ever put out there. That way you know exactly how much money you made from this. You said it once, forget it. 35 grand from an email subject line. 35 grand from an email, what the hell is it called? An email, the signature line, the email signature line. 35 grand, right? Just over 60 days. Actually, I think it took longer for the money to come in, but 60 days. Think about it. 35 grand. It's crazy. It's good stuff, man. Something to include, by the way. I just want to put this out here. We've included this before. This 5 crowds principle. Something you guys should all be understanding. This 5 crowds principle, basically, this is what you're doing. The reason why it doesn't really matter how many motivated sellers you use or what you do is because you're not going to be doing this. This is really what you want to build in your business. The 5 crowds principle, how to build a group of people who love you, think you're a genius, and throw money at you. This is what you have to build. The framework, everybody wants to find motivated sellers. But they're doing that on a very sloppy framework, right? And it's like you have this $1 trillion software, but you've got this like $1 computer. Doesn't work. So you've got to build a better computer. You've got to have a better framework to introduce these things that we're talking about on. So the 5 principles, or the 5 crowds principle. Basically, you have a stranger over here, somebody you've never talked to. And you have the fan base fanatic over here. Your goal is to move people through these levels, right? And so when we talk about motivated sellers, each of these things, whether it's, okay, I'm going to send out letters or I'm going to send out a flyer, as soon as you talk to somebody, you got to treat them like a winning lottery ticket. Treat them like family. Look at everyone you're going to talk to as now I'm going to build a lifelong friend. That's part of my mission, is to make lifelong friends doing this stuff. Not this, oh, I got to make money by next week or whatever. You got to build lifelong friends. As long as you go into that, if you get nothing else out of this video, build lifelong friends. That should be your mission. As long as you do that, everything else will take care of itself. But you've got to be in there, and you've got to be like, serious about making friends with these people and helping people out. So the biggest expense your company's ever going to have is turning from someone from not a stranger from a stranger to not a stranger. So there's 3 main lessons. You raise clients just like a parent does with children, a farmer does with crops, or a botanist does with plants. Botanist does with plants? Fancy words here. It should be a farmer with plants, or just a plant person with plants. Each level of maturity needs a predictable, choreographed, and sequential process to ensure growth. What happens when you meet a stranger to turn them into not a stranger or a potential lead? What happens from there to turn them into a lead? What happens from there to turn them into a client? What happens there to turn them into a fan-based fanatic? The faster you move people through these phases, the more money you'll make and the more enjoyment you'll have. You'll get addicted to it. It's not something, the reason why people suck at real estate is the reason why people suck at everything. Or suck at anything, is because they're not that into it. They don't have any emotion invested into it. It's not fun for them. It's work for them. Do things that are not work, that seem fun. That's like the secret to life. Where you look at kids playing video games. I've been using this example for a while. The way I used to play video games. I love video games, and I'm playing a lot less of them now. Not because I've matured, but because all this other stuff is like a video game to me. And that's where you should be. Do stuff that's like a game to you. The most expensive thing you ever do is turn strangers to not strangers. That should be a fun process for you. That should be something you enjoy doing. People are like, oh, I hate calling people. I hate doing this. They don't get anywhere. They don't get anywhere. All right, each phase has a specific series of steps. Each stage has maturity, a predictable choreographed process. Consequences of not having this is significant, to do it and do it right. The same process, there are over 3,000 companies in 10 countries that we've used. So this is the whole point of this, is that you want to be able to build your business with predictability and scalability, and this is how you do that. Make sense? All right, let's talk about garage sales. Okay, I checked a couple of the signature lines. What was it? It said signature, right? Yeah, signature line. So the email signature line, it should say email signature line. So 35 grand in a year from an email signature line. How's that? Good stuff. This was one of the things that Anna had gotten she came up with this page, by the way. This whole Big Ria project was really her baby. She wanted to go out and make happen. There was I'm not going to read, how unprofessional would it be for me to read this email? I don't mean to it wasn't an email, it was a comment that somebody had made regarding this signature, the email signature, basically saying, oh, it's not as easy as you make it sound. And I got to say, when people say that kind of stuff, that is the exact attitude that we never want. There's nothing in the world. Like when somebody says, "Oh, that's not as easy as you make it sound," or "That's not as easy as it sounds." What on earth? What thing is there in the world that is easier to do than it is to talk about, or than it is to hear about? Right? There's nothing like that. So don't act like you said something so profound when you say that kind of stuff. And ultimately, this stuff is all easy. If you're the reason why people have a difficult time doing it is because they're not into it emotionally. They're not. Nobody's really. Wow. Don't know what that was. Nobody's really lazy. It's just that they don't care that much. And if you start a company you don't care about, you're going to have a company you don't care about. So this stuff is easy if you have the right perspective, the right mindset. Without that, you're just going to be a dickhead, and you're just going to be a nightmare to everyone you work with. All right, 14 garage sales. I said that before we came to garage sales because we love garage sales. We do a whole lot of deals with garage sales. Anywhere from 10 to 20% or more of the people doing garage sales are also trying to sell their house. Don't just call them up or add them to your list. Or do you want to be part of my newsletter? Don't do that stuff. You want to build a relationship. Here's a good start. Find out why they're doing a garage sale, what they'll do with the money. Ultimately, like I just went over with the 5 crowds principle, you just got to love people. As long as you love people, all this will come together. Everything will, you want to meet people, you get to know them, find out what they're doing. We have a free report we do, a free consumer guide on 25 side hustles to make money, because we talked to someone who has a garage sale, say, hey, it looks like you like to make money, you're a little bit of an entrepreneur, we've got this 25 side hustles that make money by Friday, make $1,000 a week. And people love that stuff. They go, they get it, and they come back, they give us testimonials, but also we build a good relationship with them. So even if they don't have a house, they're not selling their house, we can work with them for years. And that relationship, the ROI that you get from those conversations just compounds year after year because you've got a good relationship with them. The beginning of that relationship is so important that the glue is you show up like nobody else. You create the standard, you build your nobody mountain. You do that, and you can just work with garage sales and make 10, 20 grand a month just from garage sales if you do it artistically. So if they need money, give them our report on the 25 side hustles to make money by Friday. Talk to them about vacant houses in their area, use flyers in the areas with signs with other sellers, talk to other local neighbors, and potentially host a neighborhood garage sale Saturday. So if they're having issues with their traffic or they have things they didn't sell, maybe we should do the whole neighborhood should do a garage sale Saturday. And the way to do that, by the way, is to just start saying next Saturday is a neighborhood garage sale, and it gives you an excuse to go door to door. It gives you an excuse to put out signs. It gives you an excuse to be invested in that neighborhood because you're helping that garage sale come together. And then when people do need to sell, well, why do you need to sell? Are you having financial problems? Do you need to get rid of your house too? And that becomes a good end for that conversation. Potentially hire them to do your signs and calls. You can hire people that are hosting a garage sale. If you want to make side money, you can put out signs for us, or make a few calls for us and help us find buyers for other houses. Have a great dialogue with them so you're in the top of that A pile for follow-up emails. The whole thing that I learned when I first started writing copy is the A pile, B pile, C pile. And there is no C pile. The C pile is the trash can. And that's where people open up their mail over the trash. That's an A pile and a B pile. And same thing with emails. There's certain emails that you get, it doesn't even matter what the subject line is, you're not even going to read it because of who it came from. On the other hand, the other thing is powerful. There's certain people that no matter what they send you, you're going to open up their email, like Awesome Mail, for example, right? You should. I haven't been so great with emails lately, but when I do, they're epic and amazing, so you should always open any email you get from Awesome, any email you get from Anna, any email you get from anyone on our team. It's always going to be good stuff. But we want to be in your A pile. I want to be in your A pile where no matter what, you're going to open and read and go through that email. It's the same thing you need to do with people. In fact, if I was to sum up the whole point of this entire page, all of our stuff, get in the A pile with people where you are the first thing that they no matter what, they want to open up what you have and work with you. Okay, I only worked on part of it, and the goal was to see how many deals you can do and how much money you can make to build a solid relationship with garage sale owners. One of the students who kept the policies, none of them made less than $40,000 for the year. That's, by the way, guaranteed. If you follow what we're talking about, get in touch with people with garage sales, talk to them, help them in any way, put out signs, start marketing a nearby house or pick up a house that they've got, or maybe just test the market, talk to agents in that area. If you follow these policies, you are going to find deals regularly. That was way more than what they did for the 40 grand for that year, because you can just talk to people who have the garage sales. Most of those people, or at least about 10 to 20% of them, will have that they also want to be selling their house. So making 40 grand a year just from garage sales is like the bare minimum that we've had, and this is like very low performance. You can easily make several times that. if you follow up and do a better job. Talk to buyers about bringing you houses. Whenever you market for buyers, you want to build a good relationship with each and every one of them. Tell them about the VIP program. Hey, if you want, whenever you talk to a buyer, say if you want and you want to get into a house by Friday or by tomorrow, send me a list of houses and we'll see if they qualify. The thing is, at first, they might bring you houses that are on the market or houses that don't fit for them, and then you can narrow their criteria more where you do lease option deals. These are some of the best, some of the fastest ways to make money is right here. When you have a buyer who's got, let's say, $10,000 down, you should do this test. Anytime you talk to buyers, talk to them about when they're going to move. They'll say, oh, I'm going to move in a month or 2 or 3 or 6 months. That time is never the time, because when you tell people in your family, in your life that you're going to move, there's so much psychological momentum. That money's burning a hole in their pocket. They're going to find something. And I never failed. I talked to a buyer who said something like, oh, I want a master bedroom with a balcony or something, or I want a master bedroom on the first floor, or it definitely has to have a basement. And a week later, 10 days later, they got into something that didn't have that thing that they wanted. Time gets people desperate, especially when they've got that momentum and they're ready to move. So somebody's got $10,000 down, tell them go find 5 properties that are for rent or for rent, sale by owner, and we'll see if they qualify. When they got, let's say, $20,000, they come back to you. You know that if with a stack of houses, if any of these houses works, you're going to make 20 grand. It's a great situation. So offer junk removal. There's a whole story behind this I talk about later, but basically junk removal is a serious business, and a lot of times people are trying to sell their house, but they've got so much junk they think they have to get rid of the junk first. These, anywhere from 20 to 30 to 50% of these, sometimes more of these people also want to sell their property. They have a property they want to sell. So start saying, start going out. This is something we've been doing for years now. Start offering junk removal. Start saying, got junk. Be one of those junk people. When you get those junk leads, right? You can move them to a junk removal company and make money that way. And then also on top of that, you can make money off of actually doing deals. But this is a good way to have a little side income you can make off of these deals. Junk removal and like, what's it called? Like a Nightmare on Elm Street 4, junkyards and like, the car, the cars stacked up where they buried Freddy, right? And he dug up, it's what I always think of. Those cars where the cars are stacked like 10 high or whatever, those things, those junkyards, those places, there's huge money in those places. And especially when we have things like eBay and things like, OfferUp, these other sites to sell stuff on. And then when you do our challenge, which I don't know if Anna's talked about that yet, where you basically are not allowed to spend more than $5 and you're flipping common items with a better story. We've been doing a lot with these junkyards, these salvage places, and it's really pretty powerful stuff that you can make happen. Just telling a better story, you can get some for $1, sell it for $1,000. Sometimes get it for free, sell it for $1,200. Really great stuff. So this is a huge opportunity, junk removal, and you want to get in this business, in this industry, and this is one way to do it, where you can start generating leads for these companies, and you can also work with them with the leads they already have right now. They can, when they start talking to people, say, hey, do you have a property for sale as well? They can send you business, you can send them business. This one thing is all you need. You can just do this and get to 20 grand a month just off junk removal. You can do that off of garage sales too. You can do that off any of these things. Again, being artistic with it is a goal. 17, get deals from contract. This is gonna take forever. I thought it was gonna be like a half hour. It's because I get so excited about this stuff, you guys. I get so excited because this is like, man, nobody's like, it's like I just said, nobody's really lazy. It's just they're not invested. They don't care about what they're doing. They don't see the ripple effect of the ramifications. I know the difference this can make, right? You should go through Anna's story when she talks really honestly about where she was at with things and how much her life has changed and the lives she's changing now and other people working with, especially with like the special needs project. There is so much like nonsense and BS and a whole bunch of shit that you'll tolerate in your life because you don't think you can afford anything better than that, right? That has to do with your spouse, your partner, right? And a lot of people are with someone who they know is toxic for them, but they don't think they can do better. It has to do with your kids. You know that the ideas they have, the attitudes they have are not the ideal way, but you're not setting a better example for them and you're kind of embarrassed. It's hard to tell a kid, oh, you can be anything, you can do anything. And then they'll tell you, well, what did you do, Dad? What did you do, Mom? That with that same opportunity, right? Like there's a great quote we use. I can feel the weight of all the lives I'm not living, the pressure from all the lives I'm not living, from Four, who did Eating Animals, a book about going vegan. You should check out. That is what happens when you're not living we're not doing what you should be doing. This stuff, any one of these things, man, you can go out there whenever people tell me they're struggling with money. any one of these things you can do and go out and start immediately make not just 10, 20 grand a month, but do it in a way where it's subtractive and you're removed from it. And then you can go out and build other businesses. I'm not trying to help you make money so you can go on a beach and do nothing all day. It's so that you can help other people create income ascension, social mobility for themselves, but also you can build a business that runs without you and you can start doing other things. The number one thing the world needs right now are better entrepreneurs to take these ideas like 250-year lifespans, like, right now in China when they're going into embryos and taking out AIDS, they're able to open up DNA like a Word document and take out the parts we don't like. This is very controversial with the bioethics and all kinds of international standards, but what they did now with that child that was just born less than 12 months ago was that child is immune to ever getting HIV, will never get AIDS, because they took it out of his DNA, the reception, like the antenna, I don't know the details of it. And the question is, can you do that with other things? Yes, we can do that with every type of cancer, heart disease, every type of disease known to man, every degenerative disease. We can do the same thing. We can go into an embryo, and it doesn't have to be an embryo. We can actually take your DNA, run a test through it, run some stuff on it, put it back in your body, and we just take out the DNA that we don't like, the DNA that makes you susceptible to these diseases. And instantly, your life, this stuff is happening right now. We're doing teleportation. This is just, right now, one of the things we do a lot of is the meat and avoiding any kind of animal suffering for food, and things like Burger King doing the Impossible Burger, and go get an Impossible Burger from Cheesecake Factory. That's pretty good. You won't be able to tell the difference. The reason these things haven't gone further and the reason there's not more awareness about these things is because of the entrepreneurship. That's what they need to get further along. And when you look at this new generation, millennials, the largest generation ever, the most connected, most humane, most organized, most socially aware. They call it woke. These people really care about stuff. They're connected. There's so much opportunity, man. And I know, I talk to entrepreneurs all the time. They want to do these deals. They want all these things they want to do, but they're not doing any of it because they're stuck at a job or because they don't. It's like the reason you're not doing that stuff is because you don't have the skill of the business building, right? Get that skill, take any one of these things, put them in place. You'll buy back your time. You'll hit your replacement level of the 10 to 20, 30 grand a month. And then you can start doing these things. Just take the exact same stuff and apply it to any business you want, man. The sky's the limit. Okay, so as I was just talking about how I'm not going to go off subject and go off topic, I get excited, man. What can I say? I love this stuff. I get deals from contractors. I made a video on this as well, and you can check out the post on how to get motivated sales from contractors here. People trust contractors. They're let into the homes. They're left alone with kids. Contractors are actually, this is an old thing. I don't know why some more investors don't do this. If I wanted to make, one of my bird dog guys made over $2,500 a week from 2 contractors sending him deals. This is not hard. When you build a relationship with contractors, you tell them, look, you bring me a house, I'll buy the house, and I'll make sure if I buy it or an investor of mine buys it, we'll hire you for the work. And they'll go bring you a stack of deals the next day. Good ones. How is an unemployed trucker? That's how an unemployed trucker is making over $2 grand a week by finding motivated sellers from contractors. That's what he's doing. She has a group of bird dogs that go out and find deals, and anyone can do this. You show them here's how you get in touch with contractors. Those contractors bring you deals, and you assign those deals to investors, but you tell the investor, hey, you got to hire the contractor for the work. And then if the investor has a problem with that, find out what their bid is, and your contractor will match it. It's not a problem. So it's easy to get these deals going, and you don't do anything. You're just moving emails and getting on the phone. It's not that easy. Bullshit, man. If it's not that easy, it's the more of a dickhead you are, the harder this stuff is. There was a story. I worked in the intelligence community, and I saw all kinds of crazy stuff. This video, by the way, is here. This motivated sellers from contractors. You can watch it. You got to go to this page. Why are you still? You should be at this page. You can watch all these videos, man. This group of refugees were on a boat and they were leaving. And what happens a lot of times is there's poachers. There's people that are like just piece of shit human beings that know that this boat has refugees, people who have nothing, people who have migrants, people who have absolutely nothing, who are leaving certain death. And they bring on another boat. And then they say, okay, the ticket to get on this first boat was like, let's say, $3,000, which might as well be $3 million. It's like an impossibly high amount of money these people don't have. They sell everything, including their bodies, prostitution, to get that money. They go and they beg these people to take that money. They know most of these people have no money left. They bring on a second ship. And they say, you know what? We're going to sink the first boat. Now to get on the second boat, the ticket's another $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 or something outrageous. Or just give us all your jewelry, or give us your kids, or give us your women. And this happens every day. And so there's this one couple that was going, and they had no money. And they put all their money together. I think they ended up getting like $1,500 from other people and selling their jewelry and stuff to get this ticket to get on that second boat. The people don't tell you there's going to be a second boat. They tell you they're going to take you to where you want to go, to sanctuary. But then another boat comes. It's very crooked, very terrible people. Anyway, this sticks out in my mind because it's just happened. The woman well, I'll tell you why in a second. This husband and wife, they had an infant, and these people include infants as people. So they said, you only have enough money for one person. And they tell it as the husband. They said, it's either your wife or your infant. And his wife, he sat there and he started crying. He's like, what do I pick, my wife or my infant? I'm going to die, but who am I going to give my infant to? And he's talking to this guy. He's like, look, my wife and my infant have to go. He's like, no, it's one or the other. There's only room for one. You only have enough money for one. Because it was like they wanted $2,500 or $1,500. They only had like $700, $800. And so the wife threw herself. The ship is sinking now. People are being chopped up in the propeller. People are dying. Anyone that doesn't get on the second boat is going to die, either through the boat, the wreckage, or they're going to die just freezing to death. And the wife throws herself down the stairs and kills herself so that the husband doesn't have the guilt or doesn't hesitate. She said, just take our baby and make sure our baby makes it to safety. And she jumped down and killed herself. And the propeller dies right in front of him. And he's sitting there and he's trying to, he wants to go save his wife, but she dies in front of him. And he knows he's only got seconds left now. And so he gives the money and he gives this baby to this woman. And he knows this is the last time he's going to see the baby. And he says, just make sure she gets an education. And she took the baby. The husband went, the wife died, and the husband, she didn't watch him die, but he was found later in the wreckage as well. He died as well. He gave his newborn infant to this woman. That woman is one of the first things she's done now is trying to help. He gave her the money. He gave all the money he had, the $800, and he gave her I think his belt or his watch. He said, it's all I have. Please take this. It's like she just gets this kid handed to her, right? And she saw this whole scene, and she's actually writing a book about this. And I say that because I've seen a lot of people like this. In her case, right now, she has the first video of this child that she's able to help spell now. So she's going to make sure that child gets an education like the last request of the father. Here's why I say that to you. Appreciating America isn't about having your flag and all this other shit and none of that. It's about having deep fucking gratitude. And when you hear shit like that, like I just explained, imagine if that man in that moment, his last breath, telling a stranger that he doesn't know, has no idea what's going to happen to his daughter, gives him to her and says, just make sure she gets an education. Imagine him hearing you say how difficult this stuff is that I'm talking about right now. Everything I'm talking about you can do while playing video games. You can do while watching porn. It's an amazing thing where somehow you can look at it through some beer goggles, LC beer goggles, and come up a way where this is difficult. This is difficult. Man, shame on you. You got to have the right perspective, man. This is why, this is why there's so many dickheads. It's like, getting rich, everything is easy in America. Everything. No one has any problems in America. This is an amusement park. The fact that people will doubt what I'm saying only proves my point. There's no problems here. All this shit is easy. Or it's impossible, depending on how much of a dickhead you are. You got to have the right perspective, the right thoughts, and it'll change your life. It'll fix everything. I'm kind of... why am I saying? Because of this comment. I'm not affected by this stuff because I've been dealing with this shit for years. But Anna is not. She's like out there helping, like, oh wow, trying to be like all helpful and chipper and so like her head in the clouds. She's so like, undyingly optimistic. I love it. It's great. And then she gets this guy who's like, it's not the, and he's going on and on about how it's actually unethical and you shouldn't talk about how easy it is. You know why it's easy for her? Because she's not a dickhead. That's it, and it's easy for me too. All this shit is easy. I say it's hard. I used to say it's hard because when students applied, I wanted to discourage them. So I'd say this stuff's really hard. It's very complicated. And half the people would be like, well, thanks for telling me. Thank you. They just walk away and quit. Because when I work with a student, which I don't do much anymore, the last thing I am going to accept is them making this feel like work for me. Someone who thinks this is difficult, they're making it seem like work. All this stuff is free. You do it all on the phone. It's really easy stuff, man. You got to get your hustle on. That's all it takes. Perspective, gratitude, that's all you need. And that will make all this stuff, instead of being a mountain, it'll be a molehill and you'll be a monster. You'll just go through this. And once you do it once, you realize that this competition you think you have in your market, you don't have. Because they're all LCs. They're all like, oh, well, this is difficult. Or the market is tough. And they're just crazy. All right, 18 homeowners who can't refinance from mortgage brokers. Again, another easy one. We have a student doing $6,000 a week right now just with this. Doesn't market directly to consumers, just from mortgage brokers who are not able to, somebody's trying to refinance, they're not able to refinance, and he gets those leads. Many times a homeowner who needs cash goes to a mortgage broker, which you don't want to do, by the way, because it just starts the process over. Don't ever do that. You don't want to refinance, but a lot of people do because they want that money. Not a good idea. So now when a buyer goes to a lender, or when a homeowner tries to refinance, they're not able to refinance, that lender can turn around and give you that lead. Say, you know what, we're not able to get you the cash, but maybe you have money problems, or maybe you have something you want to sell or something like that. I have a friend of mine who specializes in houses like this, helping you get cash or helping you sell, and now you can be introduced to them, and you can get leads from this right now. I have 2 bird dogs making over $7,000 just from this one source. Is that $7,000 a week? That might be the same one I'm talking about. I don't know. I thought it was $6,000 a week. I don't know what she was talking about here, but I mean, this is easy to do. And a great example. It's not that easy. Awesome. It's not. It's hard. It's impossible. It's not going to work in your area either. That's the best one. That doesn't work in my area. All right, 19. 19. It's just ridiculous, man. And what bothers me the most is that I don't give a shit. Like, I'm used to this stuff. These LCs, like, I know how to maintain my stuff. But to someone who doesn't, I've learned so much watching Anna learn this stuff, because it's like, for the first time, it's like, you know, I see what it sounds like to somebody when somebody's doing it, and they're doing it with a smile, and she has 4 kids, 2 of them have special needs. She's taking care of her father, who has Alzheimer's, and half the time is not able to feed or go to the bathroom himself. I mean, she's got stuff on her plate, and a full-time job, by the way. For her, someone's like, oh, it's not that easy. It takes more time than you're saying. It's like she's like, well, I'm not. Do they think that I'm just talking about something I'm not doing? Like, I get it. It's crazy, because there's a lot of LCs, and they just aren't emotionally invested. I don't mean this as an LC. This is an olive branch. I don't mean to come down on you. The lazy people, you need help too. The problem is nothing more than your emotion. That's a problem. You don't give a shit, and that's why you want to bring people down. And people who aren't used to it, you're right, you will be able to bring them down. And be better than that, though. Go through my stuff, man. This page alone, you should be able to get rich doing that. Just this. Now, when I say get rich, I mean a defined goal by that. I say anywhere from 10 to 30 grand a month, autonomously. That's what you want to get. All right, 19, vacant and raw land badassery. There's a great post on 57 ways. I remember that one. Okay, so I did 57 ways to make $5,000 a month with raw land. Go check that one out. By the way, there's a lot of people doing a lot of cool stuff. Here's an infographic. You can download it if you say you love me and click here. That's something I said on the page. She copied and pasted. Go get this infographic. You can check it out. All these ways to make money. This is another 57 ways. A lot of cool stuff. I don't even think. Okay. So go buy this stuff. Motorhome, RV storage, fallout shelters and bunkers. Open a dog park. There's a lot of cool stuff here. This is one of the coolest posts on how to go out and there's actually been 2 or 3 people have done this. I don't know if she talks about them later, that have actually taken this infographic. They go in, they printed it out, they gave it to somebody, they handed it out like as a flyer to people who had vacant land, basically saying, you know, I might do a JV with you. And one person got their first, I think 2 or 3 people total have gotten actually retainer fees. They've gotten $1,500 to $2,500, up to $3,000 or $4,000 to somebody with vacant land reads this and says, hey, I want you to do something on here. I'll pay you to do that for me. And then you get a consulting fee. So this one thing, people have gone out and made $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. I don't know what's the total amount. The highest amount I think was $4,000 or $5,000. Just taking this infographic here and printing it out. Very cool stuff. This is from a much larger post. You can go to the whole long post above, and then the video is on there as well. Oh, the video is right here too, so you can watch this video here on this page as well. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Yard sales. About 10 to 20% at the very least of garage sales are folks who need to sell their home right now very soon. Same thing, or about a certain percentage of them are with yard sales as well. If nothing else, you can work with them the same way you work with garage sales. Help them get more money, build a tighter relationship. What this stuff does, what people don't realize, is that this has a compound effect. When you're in a market, you're in an area, and you're getting in touch with people doing yard sales, doing garage sales, people who have vacant land. When you're doing these things, and you're doing it, let's say, 1 every 2 months, right? What happens over the years? What happens is you build your fan base. As you're starting to talk to people, you have a good relationship with multiple people spread out throughout the city, right? And so Very few real estate investors, people that get started, think about what their business is going to look like in 5 years, 3 years, even 1 year later. They're not thinking about that. And when you do this stuff, it has a very simple effect where you get in touch with people. As long as you enjoy that process and you employ people, you start to build your team with people who understand how important it is to treat people like a winning lottery ticket. They're out there talking to brand new people, introducing, let's say, 3-5 new people a day in these categories, and then you just track how much money that's going to make you, how much these relationships are worth. It becomes a lot of fun. You've got relationships everywhere. One of the questions on the Empire IQ is, have I tested at least one way to double my business in the last 90 days? And it's like, you should be testing 5 different ways to double your business. But if I go back further than 90 days, I say, what about the last 6 months, the last 1 year, the last 3 years? The average business owner, definitely not the real estate investor, I buy homes guy, but the average business owner, you ask him, have you on purpose have you tested something that might double your business in the last 5 years? Have you tested any one idea that would double your business? And almost all of them say no. And if they have, they've done a very piss poor job, and it's usually done by accident if anything happens. But if they have done anything, they do it a little bit, then they quit, then they start up again, and then they get discouraged and they stop doing anything. And then when they hear a new piece of brilliance, they are already proactively discouraged because they're thinking, oh, well, I heard all that other stuff, I didn't do anything with it. And then they get into this cycle, and it just can last for years. They end up in a rut, and it just, they become basically suicidal, financially at least. What I'm saying, the reason I bring that up is because you can take any one of these and just say, you know what? Because if you're not trying to double your business on purpose, that means it's only going to happen on accident, which that's never where you want, like, oh, I only doubled my business by accident. You never want that to be the case. But that's where most people are. But if you start taking stuff like this, if you say, you know what, let's put a garage sale initiative in place over the next year. Let's just say for the next year, every time someone has a garage sale, we're going to talk to them, we're going to help them, we're going to support that neighborhood, and we're going to see what's what, where our numbers fall over the course of 6 months or a year. That's why I said the students who did it actually made that money, because not many of them kept up with it. But the ones who did made the worst one made $40,000. So you can make 40 grand the next year just with garage sales. Same thing with yard sales. Any of these things can double your business if you focus on them. And for 40 grand in the next year would more than double just about every I Buy Homes guy's business. 21, home staging experts. There are a lot of HGTV shows that have made home staging popular, and some people even think it's necessary. A home staging expert will normally get paid $200 to $3,000 for their initial consultation, which usually be about 2 hours. Then it usually costs $3 to $5 grand to fully stage a house if starting from zero. Those numbers actually can be a lot higher. But the person that does this is not a motivated seller, someone who goes out and pays a home stager. That's not like a typical motivated seller, what people consider a motivated seller. So anyone that's calling them wants full price, and they want to drag it out. But one thing that we can do with these people is we can have them go out and say, you know what, before we do any work, because it's going to cost you like $10,000, I have a friend that can give you an offer as is if you want just the way everything is right now. And the cash offer, might not work for him, but the terms can work for him, right? Because you can have, check out my class on how one stager, I will add an extra 50 grand this year. Okay, so I'm making an extra $50,000 on the side for the motivated sellers from home stagers are sending me. Just stop listening to me. Go watch this video. This is her talking about motivated sellers from home staging pros. We had talked about this. I don't know all the details on this, exactly how. Okay, so I think she's putting them on Airbnb, these pretty houses, while they're not selling. So pretty nice, expensive houses you can put on Airbnb while they're not selling. One of the houses that she was instrumental in doing this with was Scott Jones, the guy who basically invented voicemail in Indiana. He lived in Carmel, and there's this giant, like $4 million, $5 million mansion, something like that. It has like an exact replica of the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse. He lived across the street from Steve Hilbert, the Conseco. And she did. They were the ones who got. It was their agent, their broker, that this was their idea. Saying, well, it's not selling. Let's put it on Airbnb, and that's how they made money with it, because it never did sell. I don't think it ever sold. So you can do this with mansions, big houses, on Airbnb. This is crazy, man. 50 grand this year from this side. But this is what I'm talking about. When you get good at this, you get artistic with it, you can get in touch with a home stager, figure something out, get your dialogue, get your compliance up, have fun, make friends, go in there, see how you can help them. And then that one relationship can make that, without one person, can make you 50 grand in there over the next year. It's crazy stuff. All right, 22, upside down or underwater homeowners. But by the way, that home staging thing is not as easy as it sounds. Be warned. Underwater, it's crazy. It stays in my mind. I simmer and stew. Upside down or underwater homeowners. When a homeowner owes more than their home is worth, that's they're said to be upside down or underwater. So even if they refinance it, even if they sell it, they're going to have to come to closing with cash, which they don't want to do, and they often don't have cash for that. So you can do a rental, you can do a lease option, you can do an auction, you can do a short-term mini rental. You can also contact their bank with them. There's a lot of things you can do. But one of the things that these people have is that there's not a lot of marketing that's geared towards them because people don't understand how to do these deals or how to work with them a lot of times. But you can do these directly by saying, do you owe more than your house is worth? I'll still buy it. Call Anna now number. So that's one way to do it. Another way is the lenders and mortgage brokers. We work with them a lot. When they have somebody who's upside down, they can say, like they said, when someone tries to refinance, they can say, you know what, this doesn't make sense, but I've got a good friend of ours that can help you with it. There's a video where we talked about this one source of deals being worth over $10,000 every 2 months. That's how much one of my bird dogs was making just from lenders sending him underwater sellers. The lenders and mortgage people and realtors will gladly do it because they don't specialize or usually even understand how we can help them. That's true. Mortgage brokers, lenders, realtors, they have no idea how to deal with someone who's upside down. Their idea is going to be like, do a short sale, basically. And they may not even know how short sale works. These guys are clueless. They basically have one cookie cutter approach generally. But so the I Buy Homes guys are clueless. Just about everyone doesn't pay attention and try to learn. But that's really cool. I don't know if that's in a video here. If it is, you should check that out. Notice that, like, I always brag about other people, other students, people on our team and stuff like that. And now notice how Anna's doing the same thing. She's talking about her bird dog and people like that, the money that other people are making as well. We try to, you got to spread the wealth. You got to make sure other people are making money. Other people are able to build an empire within your business. It's great stuff. Okay, so new construction home builders. There are a lot of ways to work with new home builders. This is one of my favorites on the list because it's fun and easy. First, you need to understand how these builders work. I did a video on this actually. Okay, so that's the 26 grand from 4 Signs. That's the video. Big open house always attracts nosy neighbors. Okay, so massive open. 24, number 24 is a massive open house. A big open house always attracts nosy neighbors. I talk about that with like the auction, do that stuff. 25, house swapping ads on Craigslist. So here's what we do. Because there's a lot of crazy ads on Craigslist, they've actually toned it down a lot now. But they used to just have like, ads that'll be like, come over here and suck my, like the Grinder basically. It was Craigslist with Grinder. And so we used to, why am I bringing this up? Because we used to do this test where we'd say, why don't we find some ads? If you go over the 101 free places to advertise your property, we do these challenges sometimes where we'll say, well, let's pick some like obscure site in Turkey that hasn't been used in 5 years. No one's run an ad on there in 5 years. And let's see what we can make happen. Let's just spend like, a couple hours. Let's get someone who's artistic with it and just dig and see like, okay, this guy was running an ad 5 years ago for, a delivery service. Let's see if he's still around. And let's just talk to him. Let's figure a way to make money or to build a business or to buy a business or just let's just see what we can do with that. And so we started using ads on Craigslist. These like, tranny for male and like these like real sexual, ads. And we would contact them and say, basically, hey, what we're buying and selling a house. It's like these ads at Craigslist used to just be like an ad of somebody like would put a picture of their dick like on the ad and be like, I've got, 10 inches of pleasure and like that, those ads we would have like a, like a VA, somebody kind of like a virtual assistant or a tot, contact them and say, hey, good job, nice, genitals or whatever. I love just seeing what people would come up with because they would follow that template of giving a compliment. And then they would say, oh, by the way, I buy and sell houses, and I was just curious if you come across people. And a lot of people were like, what are you talking about? I'm not here to, be solicited or whatever. There would be some of that, but there would be like real genuine conversations, like back and forth conversations. You could build a relationship with somebody and we would have conversations with them like, hey, what do you do what do you do during the day? Or, how do you think we could help each other out? You're looking for, trannies that want to take it in the ass or whatever. Like and I'm looking for how, motivated sellers. And believe it or not, we used to have, this is before when I was trying to be like PG and I didn't, only with like some core students that I shared the numbers that we used to have with. Even that used to make money. That made sense to do because you could build a relationship with people who are lead generating. I mean, they understand how to generate leads. They've got, people are replying to them every day. They've got this they've got, I mean, these are, sources of influence. And so we used to be able to buy houses just from like those basically like light porno ads, like Grinder ads. You know what I mean? I'm saying that because these housing swapping ads, that's like no brainer. And nobody does this. Nobody does this. Nobody in real estate. I've never seen anyone. And now, of course, you're going to be, not you, but like, the LC will be like, I know a guy who doesn't. No, you don't. No one's doing it. Okay. But, like no one does even basic stuff like JVs, but nobody does trading. Nobody trades in real estate. So one of the first things you should do once you have a house, like a lease option deal, start saying, I'll trade my house for your whatever car you want, like a Benz or something, or just, a housing, or we'll trade houses. These people are actually going out of their way to say they want to trade their house. These are perfect people because often they don't have equity, so they can't sell their house. And these are great. This is such a great market. And also trading houses is a great idea. They can use their house as a down payment to get into another house, another lease option house that you have. And then you can get their house essentially for free. So there's a lot of plays here, and nobody does this. Not the housing. Very few people contact the housing swap ads on Craigslist anyway. But nobody does this proactively. Start telling people you want to trade houses. Start using that on your signs, your marketing, all your emails. Just let people know that you're into trade, you're into barter, you're open for trading anything. And the same question people ask, well, what do I want to trade for? When someone says, if you say, we'll trade my house, or house for sale, we'll consider trade. And people say, well, what would you trade? You say, well, what do you have? And then begin the conversation there. We've done all kinds of stuff: motorcycles, computers, airports, airplanes. We've done all kinds of stuff on trade. I could talk forever, but just about trading. Start trading, man. And debt is another thing. Start buying debt. Anytime you talk to somebody from now on, you're buying debt. Okay, 26, death notices and obituaries. This one's questionable, so it's not something we recommend. I included it here because it is something that a lot of realtors and investors do. So she copied and pasted this for me because this is, to see how badly this can make people feel, check out this page. Be careful how you're making people feel. The way this works, a real estate person searches public records for notices and mails to anybody who recently died with a sorry about the death in your family. That sucks for you, but I can swoop in and steal your home. If I can swoop in and steal your home, let me know. That's generally the attitude they have. There are better ways to find deals. We'll talk about those other ways like probate attorneys, grief counselors, realtors. This is so you can find people who have expressed a problem and need and want and asked for help. This is a better approach. You can still do this stuff, but you want to do it the way we talk about, the way we covered, the way she went over, because that's what you want to make sure that you're saying that the reason you're doing it is to make these people feel better and to take stuff off their plate. And it's very obvious when you're not doing that. Remember, the hardest lie to tell in the world, is that you care for someone. Love. That's the hardest thing to lie about, because once we think someone cares about us or loves us, we let them get away with anything, right? So that's why we have the highest walls for that threshold. That's why you can either become the world's greatest liar or just start caring about people and letting them know that when they see that, you'll have a much higher level of compliance, just caring alone. I learned that when I started the intelligence work, by the way. I was trained by one of the best, quote-unquote, natural lie detector. Also got a chance to be trained by some other people that are in that field. And they all agree it's the same thing, emotion. The hardest thing to lie to someone about, I mean. The Zillow, ask yourself, how many people care about you? Not many, right? And you're almost never wrong about that, because in just evolutionary, if you believe someone cares about you, if you misplace your love, your trust, it's, you're taken out of the gene pool real quick. Okay, 27, the Zillow Make Me Move ads. There are a lot of ways to find deals on Zillow. Make Me Move is just one. There's a sample explanation letter, sample explanation from a realtor. I don't know what that is. Okay, that's actually what we send to them, I guess. Usually these are not traditional motivated sellers, but there's a section of this group that are not listing because they don't think they can afford to sell their house. That's why they're saying make me move, and they have a high price because they don't have equity or they don't think they could sell. There are deals in this group. There are deals in every market that we've tested within that Zillow Make Me Move. Yes, they're actually encouraging realtors to lead generate from the Make Me Move sections. The sellers love only getting calls from annoying realtors and investors. So this is Zillow's script. You should check that. Anytime someone has a script, you should always check it out. And it should say, if you are. Oh, no. Did Miss Nerdy Birdie have a typo? She's always on me about my typos. Okay. Okay, so have a beautiful conversation with them. Practice, add them to the compliance curve. This is the kind of like garage sale leads over time. So even if these are terrible leads, or even if they're not good, traditional motivated sellers, every single time we've done this with the Make Me Moves, we've done deals. A lot of them are not going to be deals, but you could still find people that you get a good relationship with. This is all just an excuse to make a friend or do a deal, or both, but ideally both. But even if the worst case scenario, you just made a friend. This is gold here. You just have to mind it right. It's like anything else. Like Ozim says, either you're trained, you know what you're doing, or you're just guessing, right? That's how everything is. 28, start a Facebook group for sellers and foreclosures. It doesn't have to be just for sellers. It could be for anyone. I lost my job, can't afford my house anymore is a good example. There's great for testimonials as well, because you can just take screenshots of user feedback and use that in your marketing. Testimonials like that get read much more than your words, just like captions on images get read. It's like usually the first thing, sometimes the only thing that gets read and copy. This is easy to dominate. When it comes to local online marketing, it's pretty easy with a little discipline to become number one. I think she meant to highlight that with her. So you can quickly become the number one Facebook group for blank county homeowners. Notice how I started this post. First of all, thank you. First of all, thank you for making this the number one channel for Indiana real estate on YouTube, according to Google Analytics, Social Blade, and info for Big Ria, Social Blade info for BigRia.com. It actually was a lot easier to do that than it seems. But honestly, there's a few people. Most of you that are watching this, you probably don't know me. Like, I don't mean like you don't know me, but I mean like you know Anna, and you've met me through her. But I've been doing shit online for a long time, and I'll tell you that what we did here was something totally different, because I never met anyone that was so fucking nuts that would just sit there and do what, like, let's say a video every day until we get what we want. And that's what it takes. And it's actually not that difficult. A market is active and is attractive and is in demand as Indiana and Indianapolis and Carmel, Fisher, Zionsville, the suburbs of Indy, to be able to suck up that market that easily. And I'm flatly telling you how to do it, and still, I guarantee you nobody will do it, because it's been years no one's done it. And it's the same thing can be done in other markets as well. Nobody's going to do it except us. It's one of the things that Big Ria is. It's one of our priorities. But when you do this with local county homeowners, we've done this about 14, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 different areas. You can run that local area, where it's your city, your county, or maybe just your neighborhood, just, a collection of neighborhoods. You can run that county, be the number one Facebook group for whatever, and make money that way. Nobody will know nobody outside that county needs to even know about it for you to have a lot of success. You don't need to have a lot of fame or run huge Google, Facebook ads. You can just do this with people in that immediate community, and nobody outside that market. Not that you're hiding it from anybody, but even if nobody out that market has ever heard of you, that's okay, because it's very specific to that county, that city, homeowners, or blank county for homeowners in foreclosure, for example. And you can be the number one resource for that very easily. I guarantee you. Look this up, and it'd be very easy to beat whoever, if there is someone that's number one right now. So how to get to the top? It's actually not that hard. In upcoming posts, I'll explain more about that, which I think she did. I talk to 5 people a day in the local market, email all my contacts every week with the best deals I found. This paragraph that she put right here is worth millions of dollars, and most of you have asked about this. I'm surprised she put it there. Here I am giving away the secret. Why so open with the secret sauce? Because nobody will do it. LOL. That's true. Nobody will fucking do it. But if you do that, you'll get rich. It's an amazing thing that investors will talk to her about. She's been pretty open about some income, but not. I don't think she's gone over like a full income report, which is something we're working on now. But like people will say like, oh, getting to 6 figures a month is difficult or something, like. For those of you that know the details of her, she got there at light speed. I mean, and that's like this. The way she came up with this page, I sit down and I'm like so encapsulated, like so impressed with the stuff, But it's like, this is really simple, And God, man, it's just like we're so lucky to have this opportunity to be able to do this stuff. I hope you're taking away this stuff, the right gems from this. Okay, now I get good leads calling me from the YouTube channel almost every day. It's not just YouTube, it's a few other videos as well. Everybody wants that, but they won't put in the work. I've done this before with a few Facebook groups too, different kinds of businesses. This takes time to plant and harvest, but by the end of it, you can get regular traffic. I think that some of the stuff that she must have copied and pasted this from me, that's why. This takes time to plant and harvest because usually there's no ever any spelling errors. Okay, 29, retirement nursing homes. Don't do this like an LC. Just send them a mail or showing up and saying, does anybody have a house for sale? These people are like, on their last leg of life. Don't do that stuff. Once I got my business stuff going, I grew my confidence. I learned a lot and was able to help with money questions. Dad was impressed. This is actually she made a video about this, and it was one of the most viewed. After that, she got, more emails, and it was viewed, but also it was one of the live ones. And there were more emails, like really touching emails, that we're going to make a video just reading those emails. Because basically her parents thought she was like kind of a loser for almost all of her entire life. And it's not that money makes a difference, but when you're passionate about something, when you're living life, she talks very openly about the depression and where she was at. And when you're living the life you're supposed to live, when you're the person that you're supposed to become, everything becomes easy. You don't have to try to wake up. You want to get up. You get out of bed like a bullet. When you're the version of yourself that you're supposed to be, everything becomes effortless and improvement becomes addictive and fun. And it's not, you don't have to talk yourself into it. The discipline and hard work stuff, it's like the hard work myth that we now call it. It's not about hard work. It's about you're just into it. You want to do this stuff. And in her case, it's changed everything. Later when he got sick, talking about her father with Alzheimer's, he told me how happy he was that no matter what happened, he had the comfort of knowing that I could take care of financial side of things. This is before he got sick. Before he was diagnosed and before he got to the mental decline. He knew, so it's like she got that win knowing that, he will rest knowing that he was impressed with her. And it's really good stuff, man. Thankfully, he never had to use retirement nursing home, but many of his friends are there, and some of them really needed help. Their kids and attorneys may be able to help a little, but ultimately they need a real professional to settle their affairs. This can be real estate. This can be selling real estate, managing investments. Don't be an ass about this. Do not just show up like an ambulance chaser and make a lowball offer to a 90-year-old on a feeding tube. Which there's people doing this stuff. You want to go in there and help them. Just everything we've been saying. Be nice, do a class, do a workshop. Be nice, be friendly. Go in there making lifelong friends. Treat them like you would if it was your parents. And there's a lot of deals to be had from this. I don't think she covered this, but we have a 6-figure workshop around these groups because you can talk to lawyers and family. They don't know what to do. They don't always want to sell. They want to run things, but they think, well, we don't know how to run things and we're going to ruin it. And you can help them run it and maybe become a partner where you don't actually buy their property, but you help them run it better. These people need a lot of help. If nothing else, just helping them with an Airbnb setup or some short-term rental on properties. We've done a lot of deals from this avenue, and the way to do that is to go in there and be a friend, be someone who really wants to help them, go deep with their situation, and then come up with what you think the best solution for them is going to be. Does it make sense to sell? It almost never does, because now they've got another generation to worry about, and usually that person spent decades, maybe half a century or longer, maybe a full century, paying off the things that these kids maybe aren't so great with, and they're going to ruin it if they don't have the right guidance. So there's a lot of stuff there to help with. Fire damage properties. On one flip, an investor of mine made over almost $50,000 on a single small flip. It was his biggest flip ever. How did I fund him the deal? Through fire damage properties. You want to stay on these deals because almost no investors have heard of this or are doing it the right way. Here are 7 ways to find deals in fire damage properties. You don't need to do all these. I've had mixed success with each of them. Firemen and local firefighters. The fireman is my best source of deals so far. I do remember this. So this basically, you can have firemen knock doors for you. And, if you're paying their group or splitting the money with them or giving them a portion of the money that you're making, then go knock on doors in these target areas. And they are now buying and selling houses. We have a partner of ours that's buying and selling houses. We buy and restore houses and rebuild neighborhoods and communities. Insurance agents and adjusters. These people, insurance agents, are sometimes the first people. Seller files a claim, gets a bunch of money, or maybe doesn't get the money because the insurance company is shady, or maybe they don't believe things, they have more questions, or their investigation period is going to take months and months and months. You can immediately be introduced. I've gotten as many deals like this. I haven't gotten many deals like this. It should say, I guess. I'm really surprised at how many typos I'm finding here, man. But I think that a lot of this is because it's copied and pasted from something I said. So, which tells you how I copy or how I proofread. Where the heck was that? Okay. It's a lot of stuff here. We looked just a few minutes ago, but already we're... okay. So, fire damage properties. This is... you want to be in these neighborhoods and you want to be educating people on fire setup, fire safety. You know, a lot more people than you think have been affected by fire in their house. And, you know, they've been burned, had permanent damage, skin damage, disorders, mental problems from fires. I've been surprised. I've had cousins that have been you know, I wasn't going to say this, but I had a cousin of ours that was with somebody that she was going to get married to, and she had fire when we were little. She had fire damage all over her body, and they were going to get married, and they'd always like been with each other in the dark and stuff, and so her mom said to her, you know what, you should show him what you look like once. And I guess the relationship wasn't that strong or whatever, because once he saw what she looked like, you know, like naked in the light, he postponed the wedding. And it was kind of weird. I know it seems like he's terrible. I'm not defending him, but I never saw it myself. I remember what it looked like when we were little, and she used to get, you know, a lot of comments from other kids when we were little. And so I guess I assume that maybe it still looks like that. I was actually burned with an iron on my leg. I still have the scar, depending on how much weight I'm losing, or if I, you know, but when I'm really in shape and I'm like got muscles and so it depends on how in shape I am, you know, because when I'm really in shape and I'm pumping iron, my legs get really pumped. You can see the scar from the iron on my leg much better. But I'm saying that a lot of people, fire damage is something that families have been ruined by fires. And so in these communities, not only do you want to help them, you know, turn around you know, the situations and restore houses, but also doing fire safety education, working with local firefighters, and you know, going to these communities and helping people out. Okay, so there are a few different ways to approach insurance agents. I've gotten as many deals. I haven't gotten as many deals. That was the thing. I haven't gotten many deals like this, but I have one of my badass bird dogs who got a good deal from this last week. The insurance will say to their client, you know, I have a friend who buys and sells houses, and if you want, before we move forward, do any of the work, you can see what kind of cash offer you can get for your home today as is. So the insurance agent and the adjuster says, look, we can go through that process, or you can see right now how much you can get as is right now. Twitter and Google alerts. Just go to Google alerts for Johnson County Fire or whatever area you're at, you know, just get the alerts so that you can stay on top of any time there's a fire. You can go in that community and help people out, and you know, help. You know, if there's families ruined, maybe it's a grief counseling or something. You know, get involved with something. You know, volunteer there. But this is a good way to stay on top of where fires are, and around the neighborhoods and around your area. For neighbors, people, and community, let everybody know that among other things, you'll pay cash for fire damaged properties. Realtors and mortgage brokers, they will hear about wanting to sell or get you know. They will hear about people wanting to sell and new updates to the loans, filings, major damage. Okay, so anytime there is fire damage, maybe somebody wants to sell, maybe they have to get a new loan, or have to update the classification, or there's major damage, they have to file some work with the city to get a permit. That's another place you can look for. I don't know if that's on here. Fire restoration companies, anytime work permits, you know, anytime there's permits for a certain type of work in your county, you want to know about it, you want to be there. Search the MLS. So we search... Oh, so we actually train agents too, but I didn't know that was included. So I guess that's included. So we have a whole session. We actually train agents and lenders and people to go out and find fire damaged properties, and that's included here as well. What a guy I am, right? BigRia.com. It's like the best site in the world. If you want to build a business that creates predictable income subtractively, where else are you going to go? Business building, and then you get this stuff going, and then you can get, you know, use real estate as your punching bag, get it going, and then you can move on to other companies. Search the MLS. I guess when I say hungry agent, I'm really lowering the bar, because all you have to do is get started. Search the MLS like fire or fire damaged properties. So it's not like, oh, how do I find these properties? It's easy. And also, if you have a free MLS that's open to the public, like Indy has, you can do the search yourself. Fire restoration companies. Fire restoration company near you. Find a good one. Work with these people. They're just like junkyard, junk. We buy junk people. Or junk. We clean up junk. Got junk people. Restoration. They've got leads that you can work with, and they're good at buying leads and Not that you're ever going to be in a position where you want to get, you're never selling leads, but they buy leads. They do this marketing stuff so you can start sending them consumers and appointments and getting paid for that as well. Smoke damage is often worse than fire damage. You can do residential and commercial properties, obviously, right? What kind of real estate do you buy? Whatever makes sense. 31, for rent ads. Wow, this is easy. This was already 31. This should be like, this could have been like one of the first ones. This is like the quickest way to make money in real estate. Call it before rent ads, see if they want to do a for sale by, or if they want to do a lease option or rent to buy. Now you've got a deal. Go out, find a buyer, and put them together. Make $3 to $5 grand, easy. These are free leads, by the way. Free leads. Again, people like trying to find these motivated sellers and doing all this cartwheels and stuff. You don't need any of that stuff. You don't need any of it. There's freely available leads you can make your 10 to 30 grand a month with. 32, military bases. These are produced, but these have produced, but I haven't followed up very well. So she hasn't been doing that much. Doing a free class. I need to move in less than a week, but I can't afford to sell my house to the realtor. Help. This is the kind of situations that a lot of people in the military get into. And so instead of just renting it out at a loss or having it on their credit, a lot of times for certain clearance, a situation happened with me, I had to maintain my credit score. My credit score is better now than it's ever been. And part of that is because they do extensive, like in the intelligence community, they do extensive background checks on your debt and your credit and your income. And if there's, anything that raises a flag there, you're usually going to lose clearance. Unless there's like, corruption. Okay, so they haven't produced, or they have produced, so she hasn't followed up with this, but this is a good way to find sellers as well. 33, become a list broker. This, goodness gracious, working with a list broker is a great way to find deals. This is such a brilliant concept. I wonder what she concluded here. Once you understand how they work, the importance of getting the right criteria, and how profitable this can be when the right person sends the right message, you've got gold. When I used to write copy, I used to sit down, I started writing copy for the first time. The way I would find clients, I would just walk into a store, right? So I just see a store, I'd walk into them, and I'd ask them about their clients. So, what if you were to buy a list of people? Let's say people that used American Express, people that made $100,000, and people that bought, Corvettes, for example. That's a list, 3 selects. Usually, you only need 3 selects. If we bought a list of all those people in this county, or all those people within 50 miles, 100 miles, what would you say to them if they were all in a room? And I had never had a problem getting clients, getting copywriting clients. And I was only doing this because I wanted to buy the companies. I wanted to own a percentage of that business. So what I would say is, listen, I'll write the copy for free, and you just pay for the list, and then I'll get a percentage of the deals that are done. I stopped doing that really early on because I want to get paid up front. So I'd say, usually I charge $25,000 to write the letter, which I started doing. I want to have enough testimonials so I could say that, that I could justify that. So what I would do is I would take that 25 grand and I would be willing to exchange part of it for, shares in their company. And so this is a way to start getting companies. My whole point with that is that what I quickly became was a list broker, which is ultimately what a good copywriter understands, is that it's about the list. You want to know, when you go to a business, find out who you go to the average business and ask them, if you were to take everyone, what's your market, what's your radius? And they might say, oh, it's 10 miles or 30 miles or whatever. So 30-mile radius, just imagine you have a 30-mile radius. You took a can of coffee, turn it upside down, and draw a circle around that business. That's 30 miles in every direction, right? So then you ask them, within that 30-mile radius, what does your best perfect person look like? How old are they? What is their income? What are their hobbies? And you want to get 3 selects out of that. And I can guarantee you just 99 out of 100 businesses aren't doing anything to get in touch with those people. It's a huge mistake. And it's easy to rectify, by the way. But what happens is that you start to understand the power of lists, and to understand the power of demographics, and understand, when I talk about the millennials, and why what they're doing is so amazing, and why they're reshaping every business. It's the same reason why, there's so many retirements happening right now. Baby boomers, 10,000 people a day are turning retirement age, 65 to 75. Every single day for the next 20 years, next 15, 20 years. And now there's going to be a lull because the in-between generation, there's not that many of them. And then it's going to pick up again when the millennials retire. A generation's about 20 to 25 years. So when you start to understand these lists, everything is a list. Everything becomes a list. Every business basically runs on a list. You can tell just by looking at what I just described, their target, a business's target, people with their age, income, occupation. You can tell how long that business. I used to do this when I was writing copy. I became kind of a demographer. It's studying demographics. Anybody that understands anything about politics, anything about businesses, economies, or anything will tell you that demographics is destiny. That determines everything, right? And you can tell just by the moving parade. You look at a business, who are they serving? You can tell how long that business is going to stay in business, just by their group. And is that group shrinking or growing? Their people, and are they? If they understand that it's shrinking, I've used this example many times. The one thing that changed my life was when I first got into Wall Street. I met with this big fancy analyst guy. And he's with the highest paid. He was made like $8 million or something that year. He was the highest paid analyst there had ever been. This was at a time when Levi's was huge, and we were coming up right on like 1999, 2000. And he said, Levi's is about to collapse. He said Levi's is about to collapse. And everyone's jaw hit the floor. What are you talking about? Levi's is huge. Levi's is everywhere. He said Levi's customer is the baby boomer. It's 1945, or they ended 1960. He said, well, first he said nobody buys jeans after they turn 35. Nobody wears or buys jeans. 30, 35 is about the cutoff limit, which is still true. Now, the baby boomer generation was born the last ones were born 1960, 1965. When do those people turn 35, roughly? If you're born in 1965, when do you turn 30, 35? Right around 2000. He said they're selling to their last customers right now. They're about to collapse. And when he said that, everyone was like, that's just not possible, But some people, since he was so smart, people put money behind his idea. What happened? But between the year 2000 and 2004, 2003, Levi's went from like 8 billion to less than 2 billion. They collapsed just like he said it would happen. And everything they were trying to do, all the initiatives, all the sales, all the extras, they were expanding like crazy through the 90s, and all of a sudden it just disappeared. Everything vanished. The same thing can be said about Gerber baby foods. Why did that take off? Because the baby boomers were babies at that time. And why was there a sudden lull? Because the generation after them was the biggest drop off there had been. People are very predictable, and if you start paying attention, you can see what happens. What happens with certain cartoons, that everything that the baby boomer generation went through, they refined and reshaped these industries. It's why we still don't have the real estate crash yet, the real estate collapse yet, which is coming, by the way. But it's because the millennials there's so many of them that they're actually making up for the people who on the retirement and they're selling. I'm going on this huge thing. All I'm saying is becoming a list broker. This is one of the biggest secrets I know. You don't even talk about this. She put it on here. I just kind of smiled because this is what she's essentially done. Anna, and as soon as you start understanding how demographics work and how everything is basically a group of consumers, you're going to be able to make really, really intelligent decisions. And you can start talking to a realtor or an investor, and you can tell them exactly what kind of list they should buy, what kind of copy they should send, and how it'll perform. You can tell consistently. Once direct mail is working, I remember I used to go to my P.O. box every day, and I could tell how many checks there were going to be based on how many letters were sent. I could tell, well, in about 3 weeks, I'll start getting about 80 checks a day. And it's just like clockwork. And so copywriting might not seem like it has to do with this stuff, but it really does. So the right person, right message, it's gold. We call it DAD, dialogue audience delivery. There's list brokers here mentioned. Sit down and show a realtor or investor the data. Show them that you know what kind of list they can buy, the mailing pieces, send it to them. Consider this a marketing test at first. Say, you know what, your business is going to be out of business just ask them real quick. You have a moving parade of people you're talking to. Who are your best people? What do they have in common? Let's just get 3 pieces of criteria. Okay. Is that group shrinking or growing, or do you know? Nobody has any idea. Well, let's find out if that group is shrinking or growing, because if it's shrinking, then we need to find another group. If it's growing, then we know that we're positioned at least for the next few years, and we can add and double down and start owning that market even more. And what happens is that you become someone that just everybody needs to talk to, because you've got so much knowledge and information about what's coming, and you can predict the future. We have a few kids who make good full-time income working very part-time doing this. I would say the average is about $250 for these high schoolers who are doing this on the side. What are they doing? You can explain that you're not making that money up front, but they can pay for the deals that you do. Okay, so you're going to get the mailing piece. One way we do this, you contact realtors, see what mailing piece is working for them. Say, you know what, I'm going to go to a non-competing realtor and generate business, and then I'll pay you, royalties on that, basically. This is a way to do it if you don't know anything about copyright. If you have access to no marketing pieces, this is how you can get winning marketing pieces and rent them out to somebody else, basically. That's one way. But I think they're doing something. I don't know if they're not doing that. I think they're just they're just getting paid a small fee for each deal that's done. You can make a lot more money, and you can talk talk and screen the leads that reply. And then you can skip the whole middleman part and just do the deals yourself. We've talked about direct mail and mailing lists to use in the past, so just check that out for a better idea on what list to use. Okay, so I guess they're just talking to them and getting the first part going for the $250. You can make 10 times that though, like she said. So you can make a lot more than that. But coming to list, basically what you want to understand when you talk to an investor right now, right, if you look at an investor right now or a realtor right now, the most successful investors and realtors, who are the people they're targeting? Where are the best motivated sellers in that market coming from? So one of the things we do are we have in Indiana and only in the Midwest pretty much are what's called 2% houses that rent for 2% of their value. You're normally only going to find these below $90,000 because a $100,000 house is not going to rent for $2,000 a month normally. But now that you know that, there are $40,000 houses that rent for $800 a month. That's a 2% house. It's high cash flow. They're not in great areas, but like BC areas or like C areas, CD areas. Now that we have that information, we can start to tell. In Indiana, for example, when I first started messing with these 2% houses, I'd start looking, okay, what is the criteria for this? Why is someone renting a house that for 2% of what the house is worth? How is this happening? And it happens in a very specific criteria. There has to be some sort of industrial, like a GM plant, for example, something that closes like what happened in Detroit. And then we have also suburbs, very wealthy people, like you have Carmel, and then you have the inner city. And usually about 3/4 of the way between like the ghetto and the suburbs is where you're going to find these 2% houses. But the criteria that I just explained to you, a big manufacturing plant or something like that closes down, then there's suburbs within about 5 to 10 miles away that are very wealthy, and then there's the ghetto that's about 3 to 5 miles, 1 to 3 miles away. That criteria only happens in the Midwest. And that's why I could tell years ago that these 2% houses are not only do we know that they're not going to grow, there's not going to be new of them, there's not going to be more of them because this is a market that's not growing, but it's also not shrinking until it's going to start shrinking right now. But I could also tell that there's not going to be any other areas because wherever you are, assuming you're not in the Midwest, you don't have these 2% houses around you because you don't have those two things. You don't have a wealthy suburban area or a wealthy that's suburbs, and then you don't have a factory or something that's shut down and has left people unemployed but still skilled so they could get some sort of job, but they're not in the ghetto either. You get what I'm saying? I'm talking a lot about, I just get so excited about this stuff. But you can predict the future when you understand demographics and you can understand how to buy a list and stuff. So that's my point. 34, estate sales. Often these are tied to some kind of probate situation. The actual property or properties are often going to be transferred to a relative or an attorney around this time. These are places like estate sales and a few other places. You can get in touch with them, go through the process. 35, property management companies, secret offer. Whenever a property manager has to evict a tenant, whenever what's going to happen, it's going to cost that owner at least 2 to 3 months, and that's if the property manager's on top of it, right? So one thing they always love to say, a property manager wants to go to someone and go to an owner and say, especially an out-of-state owner, they want to say, look, we're sorry that we've got this eviction, whatever, the damage is done, you're going to get hit up with the bill, but on top of that, we're going to have a few months where you're going to have to pay this mortgage payment and no cash is going to come in. But there's the silver lining here. We have a good friend of ours that can make an offer today and put a cash offer in your hands today if you want. You get what I'm saying? The property management company, it gives them a way to save face with their people as well. So this is a great, great tool. 36, build a list of code violation properties. Okay, code violation properties. You can make money with this even if you don't buy a single property. That's what some of the kids are doing. So the term code violation is pretty broad. It can include things like litter in the yard or overgrown lawn, all the way to open brothels and dead bodies. Brothels. Wow. I want the latter, not the former. I'll speak for yourself. And no, of course. Of course we're not. Actually, I guess that's what she meant too. Right. Because overgrown lawn is an easy thing. But code violations, all that means is that they broke some law. And no matter what you're doing with your house right now, wherever you live, you're breaking some law, right? No matter what you're doing, you have broken some law. But it's just a tiny law. It's like illegal to spit on the sidewalk or for, spit to be on your property, for example. Some, weird law like that. Once they're in violation, they'll get an orange or yellow sign or window in the yard or sign in the window or in the yard, something like that. This will have the words like unsafe to occupy, public notice, or unlawful. So when you see that stuff, you should jump on that. But how do you get a list of these properties? This question has plagued real estate investors for as long as I've been in this business, and people have had all kinds of answers. You go and you try to get answers from your city, and you're going to hear this is like the weirdest thing. Just try to find out, how do you get a list of code violation properties? Sometimes it's as easy as calling your city, but I bet you if you call back and just talk to somebody else in that office, they'll say they don't have one. It's just this weird, bizarre thing. It's something very specific to code violation properties that there's like this, people are very cryptic about it. So what Anna has done here is something that no human being has done in the entire, maybe in the entire country, but definitely in the Midwest. I don't mean just Indiana. I don't mean just Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, Minnesota. Not just those. I think Minnesota. I think it was Minnesota. Not just in any one of those states, but the entire Midwest. She has the only the only one source of code violations, a list of code violation properties, and man, this is really cool because you don't even need to do deals to make money with it. So I'm just going to run through these. Here's how she came up with that list. This is the most comprehensive list that I know of on how to develop, because in certain areas, maybe you can get a list real quickly, but maybe it doesn't happen. And so we have a whole checklist. Like, you know us, we go crazy and obsessive. Just double down and say, okay, well, here's what we want to have 25,000 different ways of attacking this problem. So this list has been exhaustive, and it has worked in every single market we've been to. We've been able to get a list of going through these things. So 1, contact your local health department. 2, inspectors have or can build this list as well. So talk to local city inspectors. They're just like contractors. Treat them like contractors. Ask your city ward councilman's office. Go in there, call them up, talk to them. Call your zoning and planning department of your city. You can find out, there's some examples of sites here. You can find out what they have as far as when the notices that they may have available of code violation. By the way, the idea is that someone that has a violation or has a condemned property is a motivated seller, and you can buy their house or help them with their problem, rent it out, partner with them if it's a commercial property. We've done a few of those from this process. This right here is worth millions. I know I've said that about like 5 things. I really mean it. This is really cool. And there's nowhere that anyone is doing this. 6, contact your city secretary or clerk. These are things you want to do, all these things until you get what you want. And if there's something we're missing, by the way, or something you've done that worked, let us know, please. We'd love to include it. 7, city council meetings minutes. Basically, in some places, they don't talk about it. It's like Fight Club, but they have to mention it by their bylaws and their statutes. They have to mention it in their meetings, their council meetings, and they have to record it in those council minutes. So you go and search the minutes from that city county meeting, and you search for keywords like code violation, condemned properties, or anything that's on the signs that they use in that unsafe to occupy, or try to find out when they talked about it and search for the time frame. We've had to do this a few times. Nobody will fucking do this. None of you are going to do this. No one's going to do it. And that's what makes it so valuable when you do it, because you're the only one that did it, right? And by the way, there's an update to what if you know how much money she was making every week with this, you would all do this. I mean, it's just like, because it's doubled, then it doubled again from where it was at. Search for records by document type. Just go for, search anything and just type .pdf on Google, but also search for what happens when there is find out in your county and your city when there is a condemnation, or when they have a code violation. What's the paperwork? Is it given a number? Is it a long legal title that paperwork is given? And then search for every time that exact paperwork was recorded in that county or in that city. You're not going to do that. Let's be honest. This is what makes her such an animal. This is how you want to build your business. Nobody's going to do this stuff. This is being done every single day in the markets I just mentioned. Neighbors, talk to neighbors. Go out and talk to them. They know everything. Realtors, talking to realtors. They know the inspectors, buyers, rehabbers. If you're not familiar with them, title companies, they have access to a lot of stuff. And then the first to know if a deal falls apart, especially if it's because of something like a code violation. So you definitely want to be in there when that happens. Title companies in general are a great source. That should be one of the places here, because whenever a deal falls apart, you want them to be able to say, you know what, I've got a guy that makes backup offers, that specializes in making backup offers. And even if if 3%, 5% of the deals fall through that need a backup offer, and you're in touch with 5, 10 title companies that are doing 100 closings a month, that means you're getting 3 to 5 deals sent to you every single month. You get what I mean? Easy stuff, man. No, it's not. It's hard. I'm not making it sound so easy, but it's not. It's so hard. Oh, I have to call people 2 or 3 times. What is this, the Holocaust? Search the MLS. Number 12. Look for your local board of realtors and see how you can do a public search of the MLS for free. Look at My Boards, for example, and you can search and find code violations. Type that in the agreement. Sometimes there's a code violation, but the realtor lists the property, but the state has an agreement that you have to fix these violations The investor has to agree to that, the buyer. Investors and wholesalers, look for your iBuyHomes guys. Talk to them about code violations, condemned properties. We work with them a lot. Newspaper carriers, delivery people, they know all kinds of stuff. Oh, man, I was delivering papers. Nobody ever picked my brain. They should have. I learned all kinds of stuff. Go to your local headquarters where your newspaper's made, where it's printed. That's where your carriers are. Talk to them. They'll help you out. 15, local police and code enforcement officers. The call the local police is usually one of my first ones because they can tell you the local hierarchy of who you should be calling. And if the list of the code violations is not readily available. I didn't know that. I don't know why it's number 15 if that's the first thing she does, but all right. The code enforcement CE people may be involved or combined with another group or have a different name. 16, fire departments. We work with a lot of firemen. They have lists, all this kind of stuff as well. Firemen can really help you. Landscapers. Also, if you're working with the firemen, this is one thing you want to do that we've been doing, not just with code violation, but all sorts of other things. Work with the fire department or with your police department. Work with a group that they have, like a charity group, like a nonprofit, volunteer. And then when you contact like the police or the code enforcement officer, you're doing it on behalf of the group. You're, hi, I'm with the firefighters, the firefighters of love, the firefighter group that they have, that charity, that group. And now you've got instant positioning as well. 17, landscapers, often cities or municipalities, munis. That's when they used to call like junk bonds, muni bonds. Local cities or municipalities will have a few landscapers that they prefer to work with, and they send business to, jobs. Finding out who they are is easy. You can find out by calling around and just also asking the city. They can be your eyes in the neighborhoods and give you updates on condemned orders and notices. This is huge because sometimes the city will contact them before they've actually done anything else because they want to fix the problem first. And these people are right there. They know about the property. They can tell you where they're at. They can also tell you when the city is hiring for work and for which properties were the worst headaches for the city and the property owners. Great piece of information, right? They can also tell you future, where the most calls they get are. They can tell you areas to focus on. It's brilliant stuff. No one does this. No one gets in touch with landscapers for this specific reason. I guarantee you, you talk to 100 investors who are smart enough to know about code violation properties. I guarantee you ask them how many of them have done this one thing, just this one thing, or even know about it, that getting in touch with certain landscapers will give them, that the city uses to get, certain levels of compliance. None of them are doing it. None of them are doing it. None of them are doing it. I thought I saw some. None of them are doing it. 18, pest vector, animal control, and animal rescue. Animal rescue stuff. This is really near and dear to my heart. Get in touch with these people. You got to be an animal lover, and whenever they have these properties, these puppy mills and stuff like that, this is stuff that you want to immediately get flags on. The better your relationship is with your city, with these people, the animal rescue people, and the better of an organization they are, they can get orders immediately. One of the worst things I used to do is I worked, I was not always an animal lover, man. I used to work for my family's slaughterhouse, and we did terrible, awful stuff there. There was recently an undercover investigation at the very place. The company that I worked for ended up being absorbed by another company, and the stuff that they put in the video was like heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. And they said every single person we talked to, I think they talked to like 200 people there, every single one of them were doing massive violations. Cows screaming so loud because their kids were being taken away, and they were screaming until they lost their voices to try to talk to their kids. And their babies being thrown and slammed up against walls. Chickens being, they'd go get these like medieval swords and slam, cut the chicken's legs off and have them, doing cockfighting and stuff like that. Awful, terrible, inhumane stuff, right? I hate to admit it, but it's like that's the same. Every single person that I was there, it's the same stuff. We did all kinds of awful stuff when we were there. It's just whenever there's any system of oppression, you have a switch that your empathy is switched off. It's blocked. There's a mechanism that blocks your empathy. I'm saying that because although I judge people that do that kind of stuff, obviously, but I kind of understand, like when you're just not there mentally, you're just not there. So we've gotten, we've helped to shut down a lot of these operations, especially with birds, which is my, like one of the reasons when I started breeding eagles and falcons and stuff. There's a lot of people that were not doing the right things, and we've helped to influence legislation and what does and what does not get you shut down. And in America, of course, you've got a lot of warnings. There's a whole process, but in other places, it's been very successful. we've had a lot of success in being able to raise the standards and also to eliminate loopholes and people having, weasel clauses where they can continue, like when they're hoarding or doing bad things, we can immediately shut it down. And in America, it's going that direction. We're getting less and less tolerant of people doing that, and it's a great thing. So animal rescue, working with them, not only helps you find code violation properties, but also helps you, save animals as well. 19, Freedom of Information Act, a FOIA request. This, it should be free. This is something that it should not be difficult to find out something about our government, right? The more difficult it is, the more dog shit that we're dealing with, frankly. I mean, it's just ridiculous now. Because in the intelligence community, for example, they're deathly scared of FOIA requests, and they should be, but the fact that they've got all these layers of protection is not ideal either. But that's when I first understood about, this is such an underutilized tool that we have at work here. Any good journalist is using this constantly. Any good journalist, network or organization is using this. Anyone that's trying to figure out, the more resistance you're getting to a FOIA request, the more necessary it becomes to just pedal to the metal. One of the groups we have, our group of lawyers and activists that fight for transparency in government, ending corruption, and this Freedom of Information Act is ideally something that we should all be more familiar with. Unfortunately, what happens in some areas is they start charging you money for it. They start charging thousands and thousands of dollars, things that are ridiculous, $8,000 to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 and a 2-year waiting period for a FOIA request to be honored. It's crazy, but try it anyway. See what happens, and you can find that out. All this stuff, none of you are gonna, no one's gonna do, right? That's what she's done. She's a machine. She's like a Terminator once you put her in place. But that is what she's got now. So okay, so motivated sellers from code violation properties. Check out the video she has. Here's an infographic about this, about the whole process. Okay, so how's she making money with this? How much money was made on this? How much? Okay, $1,500 a week. It's now closer to $10,000 a week just on the code violation properties. If those of you that are getting it know how in-depth and robust this process is that she's going through. Everything I just mentioned, she's doing, and we're adding to that list new stuff that we come out with, that we do, that if something doesn't work, we're adding more and more stuff. So she gets this list of code violation properties, right? You only need to do one of those things on that list, by the way, and you can start doing deals. But she gets this list of code violation properties. Now, what happens is that if you're an investor, you're paying every month for access to that list. On top of that, if you want to have what we call a closer look, you're paying $100 to $300 to get that closer look, which a contractor goes out, takes a video and everything, tells you how much they'll fix up the property for. And usually you don't have to do more than 1 or 2 or 3 of those before you find that you're going to do a deal. I think if you do 2 of them and you haven't done a deal, meaning the numbers don't work, then we'll step in and we'll make sure the next one does work, and we'll get you a deal that makes sense. The 10 grand a week is not including the assignment from the actual money that she's making from the deals. That's just from the size of this investor list and what there's somebody involved now, a realtor that gets I think 300 listings with REOs. So the 10 grand is not profit. There's also splits out of that. But I think her net is around 6 to 7 grand a week or something like that. We have a video of that. It should be up by now. 6 to 7 grand a week by coming up with these motivated seller, this code violation properties, and allowing investors to have access to it. So this is how you know you have real brilliance. You don't even need to do the deals. Take a checklist like this, like those 19 things I went over. All a business is just a series of transactions, and transactions are a result of habits. Put these habits in place and you can go out and make 5, 10, 15 grand a week without even doing a deal, just by helping other people do deals. It's crazy, but it's not that easy, right? It's not as easy as you're making it sound. Awesome. Oh my goodness, what am I gonna do with that guy? Throw down is what I should be doing. Investors are paying me $1,500 a week. That number has doubled and then doubled again. Okay, so insurance agents and brokers, another place to find motivated sellers. Legally, they're not allowed to share some details about their clients, but you have to have a hook. When Anna does this and the insurance agents or anybody else introduce her by saying, when we train them to say, she's the #1 channel on YouTube for Indiana real estate, so they don't forget that. People remember that, like, oh, wow, she's a good friend of mine. Now, what happens when you can have a hook, like she has a #1 channel on YouTube for real estate, or the #1, the #1 website for Indiana real estate. Whenever someone says something like that, and then the next thing they say is, oh, she's a good friend of mine, now you're not only they're able to also benefit as well. So it's not just, oh, they're building you up. They're also building themselves up as well at the same time. And so that's one way. And then they can introduce you. And then the book, go to my class on how to hire a realtor that makes you 10 grand a month, for how to get the compliance curve set up. It's good stuff. Get masterful at creating deals with zero down structuring. man, people still wonder if you can make money in real estate with no money. I get it. Can you really get into real estate with no money, no credit, no loans, none of that stuff, and get to 10 to 30 grand a month? If you're new, I understand why you're considering that, or why that's weird. Even if you're experienced, I get how that sounds. But if you're one of these people, and there's a lot of them, that go out and say, oh, that's not true, that's not possible. You're not just an LC, you're just a dickhead. You know what I mean? You're just not somebody that should be taken seriously. And this is ridiculous. It really actually physically hurts me when I see people who are hardworking. They're not lazy. They're not stupid. They're not, even stupid doesn't matter, you know, because you can learn that. But they're not lazy. That's the main thing. They're grateful. They want to make things happen. They have big dreams. They want to get involved with things like, brain transplant, having a brain, putting little computer chips in brains, having superhumans, that's stuff that we're looking into right now. They want to get stuff with 3D printing a planet. They have these big dreams. They want to make things happen. They want to get involved with cryptocurrency, which is, by the way, definitely the wave of the future. If I haven't already said that in this video, I say it every video. People ask, there's no question cryptocurrency is going to take over. But when it already is, by the way. All these governments are saying, oh, it's not. But then what are they doing? Turn around Sweden, Finland, Norway, Pakistan, just about every country in Africa, Russia, America, China, all these countries that are saying, oh, cryptocurrency is nothing. They're all making their own cryptocurrency, not realizing that actually contradicts the entire point of cryptocurrency, not having a centralized government or power. Anyway, my whole point here, you don't need any money. If you get no sentence out of everything I'm saying this entire class, you can build your 10 to 30 grand a month with no money at all, no credit checks, none of that stuff. All right. It's insane. You have to be mental to go through the stuff that we're talking about, go through this page and still come away thinking that you need to have money. Don't be like that. And I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't want to be mean to you. I'm saying that people that still think, oh, I've been in real estate for 20 years, 30 years, and there's no such thing as a zero down deal. I mean, that's just not. You're speaking from a place, you're highly uninformed, and it's important to get yourself informed. These are some classes that I did a while back, 30 ways to buy and sell real estate. It's in 3 parts. Check it out. I go over this. I mean, this is easy stuff. It's all free. Go through this. Don't ever put money. You need to build, you don't need to even invest in real estate. You don't need to buy real estate. What you need is a mechanism, a machine that's making you 10 to 30 grand a month, every month, predictably, as you spend less time on it to a point where eventually you spend no time on it and it continues to produce for you. That's what you need. Don't listen to fucking anybody that's not telling you what success looks like beforehand. Don't say it's someone that, oh, I want to do deals, or you become a full-time real estate investor, or replace my income. Don't know. You want to know specifically what's the result and what's my input, right? I'm the only person, not just me, but on our team and Anna and everyone, we're the only people that talk about this in terms that are quantifiable. That should be your goal. And any goal short of that is not honestly worth your time. You shouldn't mess with it. Okay, 39. Go to eviction court, talk to landlords and attorneys. There's certain rules that need to be followed. Talk to them. It's a great place to network because people are so sick of being there, especially when they know the judge by first name. 40, corporate headhunters. We've done a lot of corporate headhunters. We have a whole roommate model where we did corporate housing. We get, nice, fancy people on assignment for 3 months, 6 months. They get a roommate, somebody else who's just like them, a corporate type. Headhunters are great though because they work with, they're basically a staffing company, and they know when people get fired or get hired real quick and need to sell real fast. Corporate headhunters, we've done a lot of deals with corporate headhunters. Inner city farming. Oh man, this is such a good one. How many are there on here? Okay, this is it, because it was 40, so I'm giving you guys under promising, over delivering. Inner city farming, you guys got to check this out. The food deserts in Detroit around 2012, there was not a single big, large chain grocery store open anywhere in Detroit. It's the only place like that. And so because people are resilient, because they're badass people, they started doing ghetto gardening. They started growing their own vegetables, their own foods. And now veganism is on the rise in these thug life areas, which is beautiful. And it's a great thing to be involved with. We've actually just started doing this right now. So we don't have stories of a lot of money or huge successes, but we have some really cool stuff happening right now. We've got a few of our gardens now, because this is what's happening in inner cities. You can actually get a lot of allowances and tax breaks by building these indoor farms where you can grow kale and vegetables, broccoli and lettuce and all kinds of stuff in these houses right now. And so we've been using a flyer like the Airbnb flyer saying, I'll build a farm in your house and we'll split the profits. And so we've been having some really cool successes with this. One of the we work with special needs and schools that are not in the inner city. We haven't been. But this has allowed us to finally start having some special needs progress with inner city areas. And the big issue there is diagnosis, because a lot of times they don't diagnose mental illness or addiction or special needs. And so this is helping us develop at Arsenal Tech, I think it is the first ever special needs, the official special needs diagnosis checklist that everyone's using. She's more involved with that than I am, so I may have that wrong, but we had some really cool successes. All of these inner city gardens, man, it's great. People have nothing. It looks like they have nothing. They're down and out. They build something beautiful. It's a great thing. There's a great line here in the video she sent me. You guys should check out. This guy, the gangster gardener, he planted this garden, and the city came by and said, hey, you can't do that. You can't plant a garden. You can't start farming in your front yard. Plant a garden, just a garden. And he's like looking around saying, look, there's toilets, there's hookers, there's used syringes, there's used condoms all around the yards. You don't have a problem with that. I do something beautiful and you have a problem with that. It really tells you how you look at me and really how we look at each other, how we are looking at each other. There's a really deep stuff here, man. Taking inner city undesirable land and turning it into something beautiful. There's a lot to be said about that. So this is really cool. And I don't have as much. This is like a feel-good thing right now because we don't have as much activity around this yet, but we have really cool beginnings of things. By the next time I talk about this, we'll have a lot of really cool stuff to talk about. So, and by the way, if you guys are taking our stuff and having progress here, let us know because I'd love to share notes. 42 texting sellers about rent to buy. Was that not done yet? So this is a simple one. Just text them. If you want the easiest way to get a yes without talking to a seller, text them. For sale by owner or for rent, do you want to do a lease option or rent to buy? You'll get your first yes. Good? Good? Is that good? Okay, that was like over 40 ways here. Look at this stuff. You guys got to go to this page. Download this stuff. You're going to love it. We put this together with love and to help you guys. I love you guys so much, okay? Go down, get this stuff. You're going to love the stuff you get from us. There's all kinds of videos here and stuff you can watch, stuff you can download, a bunch of other links you can learn about other stuff on. It's easy. You don't need motivated sellers. You need to create income. Get out there and make it happen. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I love you guys. We'll talk soon. Thanks.